Hey everyone, just going to do my Twitter announcement to sound live if Twitter eventually loads. Just give me a second.
Hey everyone, just going to do my
it's playing back.
To sound live.
Awesome.
Twitter eventually.
That one that. Okay. Twitter is done. Okay. I think I'm ready. So here we go, we got Anonymous, Fred, Andre, Dave, and David. How's it all going? Oh, and Peter. Must have missed Peter. Yeah, nice and early, Peter. .25 degrees there. I don't know what temperature it is here right now. My weather station screen isn't turned on yet. I've got to set on a timer so it's off overnight. I've got the wrong cup. That's no good. Right. I've got no idea what I'm going to do today. Absolutely no idea. Why is it still playing back? I told that to stop. Saves bandwidth. Weird. I was trying to reorganise my windows a bit better. It's not working. I've got two screens and the top one is empty most of the time. And I need to share this chat window. Why is that not being shared already? It should be there. Let's find it. It's decided to create a new one. Ah, because it's got a new chat stream ID. So it's not recognising it. There we go. Alright. There's the chat window. Yeah, trying to get it sized nicely. Guess that'll do. Okay. What will the wife bring me today? Well, nothing, because she's in Wellington at the moment. She's down there for a meeting. So I'm here by myself today. So I have to fend for myself, and it's already gone completely wrong because I've got the wrong cup. It's already a disaster. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do today. We've got some stuff. I mean, I've got that Cylotron sitting down here still, which I still need to do the front panel adjustments on the actual input jack. So to change that. So we might do that. Yeah, we've got some bits and pieces we can play with. I did all the mailbag stuff yesterday, so there's no mailbag to do. I did 2 mailbag videos yesterday. I recorded them. I've still got to edit them yet, and that takes a little while. Hard times for me. Yeah. I've got to fend for myself. It's just I don't know how I'm going to survive. She looks after me pretty well, I have to say. So now we have, say, I've also got, I mentioned this last time, I can't remember if I mentioned it or not. I'm just trying to dig the bloody thing out. I can never remember what number is. 893A? Yeah, Fluke 893A. Could potentially look at that. I don't think I've actually pulled that thing apart yet. I've had this for a while. It's a differential multimeter, or differential voltmeter, I should say. And I'm pretty sure I haven't actually had it apart. Maybe I just had a glance in it or something like that. I can't really remember, but I haven't really done any refurbishment on that one. I've got no videos for it now, I don't think. Let me check actually. I'm tempted to do that. Although when I tested it, I remember it seemed to be working absolutely fine. Let's have a look. Do I have a Fluke 8938 in here? No, I don't. I've never done a video on it. So, you know, I'll have to do that one day. Oh, hello. AEREV. Oh, bloody hell. AERV blog. What's your name? I know I've watched so many videos and stuff, and I think I've commented on some, haven't I? I've got what your name is. Hey, Kimmy. Oh, emails came through. Let's quickly check that in case it matters. Okay, it's fine. Nothing important for now. I can wait. Right. Dave, right. Another Dave. Excellent. This makes it easy. If everybody's called Dave, it'd be really easy to do this stuff. You know, if everyone was just called Dave, it'd be like, hello Dave, and that'd be it. Yeah, email on the phone, that's what that's what it calls. So yes, yeah, I'm not completely sure what I'm going to do yet. We'll figure that out. Any votes? We could do the Cylotron input jacks and potentially swap that connector out, either to that little mini round connector which I've got, or to binding posts. I'm not really settled on that yet. I mean, I bought a little mini round connector which is smaller than the original, unfortunately. Can change your name. Yeah. So because it's smaller, it makes it a bit more complicated. I can't just do a straight swap. I have to do some modifications for that. And I'm also concerned about the leakage currents between pins of that connector, because the connector is so small. The pins are very close together. Now what I've done is I hooked up my God, what's the name gone? It'll come to me. Insulation tester. I hooked up my insulation tester at 1000 volts setting between two pins which are adjacent to each other, and I had no signs of leakage between those two pins, so I'm fairly confident it's okay, because I'm also going to be using opposing pins, so I'm twice as far away. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's probably okay, but I wanted to make sure that it could actually handle 1000 volts. But ideally I'll need to use a higher voltage than one it could potentially be used on, to make sure it's not going to break down. It's just okay kind of thing. Try to desolder 324 without a desoldering iron. I used to remove parts without desoldering irons and stuff for ages. What I recommend you do, if the part is definitely trashed, just cut the legs off it. Right, assuming it's a through-hole part. Right, so if it's through-hole, then just cut the legs off. If you know the part is definitely bad and you're definitely replacing it, just cut them off, and then you can just take one pin at each time. And you know, you can always use desoldered wick as well. It works not as well as the desoldering gun through-hole stuff, but you know, you can be used to clear the holes out and stuff like that. Yeah, so I was saying, but the Cylotron, I'm not sure about whether I use binding posts or that little mini connector on there yet. I'm really not settled on it. But when you are cutting those pins on that device, make sure you're really careful to not stress the pads. Right, so if you're cutting through the pins, it'll be bending the pin over, right? So don't cut it right at the bottom of the pin. We could do maybe, but it might be harder. But usually cut it along the edge of the actual IC, so the pin's sticking up quite a bit. And just be careful not to put too much stress on the pads, in case you end up ripping the pads off the board as well. You can actually damage the pads if it pulls over. If it's double-sided. If it's single-sided, you'll probably be fine. But if it's double-sided and the trace is on the top, then You have to be a little bit careful with that, but generally it's okay. If the device isn't trashed and you're just replacing it because you're not sure about it, then the other way to do it is to have the thing upside down, so the plug's hanging off the bottom, and just do a big solder blob, because it's only 8-pin device, isn't it? 324, so 816, kind of. And then just do a solder blob, run up and down, just do one side, and get underneath, and you have some tweezers, or these angled ones on the end, and you can try and lever that side of the device down. Alright, you either do it end by end or side by side. Side by side is usually a bit easier, and you just run up and down that side, melt the solder on that side up and down, and then obviously be careful not to scrape the board when you're doing it, just run the iron up and down to keep it all hot, and then you can leave one side out and then do the other side and just wiggle it out side by side. You can do it that way as well if you try not to destroy your device. I mean, those little hand pump things and those little desoldering suction units, those hand ones, they work fine if you're not doing a huge amount of work. If you're just doing the odd bit here or there. I mean, I used one for years. I've still got something here in my drawer. You know, I've got a few different ones. They were fine, but I found you have to be really quick, you know, to get on there with that sucker and get out of the way, get the sucker on there and get popped. And one of the things I'd find is when it popped, it would actually jolt against the board. It would actually impact the board because of the motion of the piston jumping up. It would actually push the barrel of the unit down into the board, and you're actually hitting it on the board all the time. I didn't like that part. So depends how well you held it, I suppose, and how heavy the piston was. But the yeah, it's just one of the things I found I tended to do is bang into the board and then you jump and essentially you slip off the bit you're trying to do. You have to be quick with it, I say, getting the iron out of the way and getting it on and quickly operating it without the solder going hard again. So I mean, they work fine. No reason why you shouldn't have one anyway. Yeah, that's another good way, Fred. That's another good one. Making basically an artificial tip, so you're heating the whole lot in one go. That's a good suggestion. You have to be careful using hot plates on some boards. Like if it's an older board, then they don't like being heated overall like that. With especially hot air, like I had a bit of a disaster once many years ago. Oh, not many years ago, a few years ago. I perked up a Fluke 8840A multimeter, so 5.5 digit multimeter, and I think it's 5.5 digit, pretty sure it was, anyway, 8840A, and it was faulty, and I was trying to desolder an IC out of it, similar sort of thing, but I thought, I'll save myself some time. This is before I had a desoldering gun, and I thought I'd try using hot air to get the IC out in one go. Anyway, what happened is the board delaminated and just split apart, and it bubbled up, and it caused all kinds of failures. So it's only in a spot probably that kind of size, but there's traces running through because it's a multi-layer board. There's traces inside the board, and so it broke those. I still have the unit. I haven't got rid of it. It's sitting up here on a shelf. One day I might actually try and fix it. At the time I thought, sorry, I'll just put it one side. That was a stupid mistake. Yeah, it's very easy to scratch and knock traces off or knock pads off, especially when the pad's really hot and you've got this soldering iron pumping, hand pumped, and it jumps across. I've actually had it's jumped and actually taken the pad off because it's scraping across the board with that force, where I've not been dead straight on that sort of stuff. Be careful with those hand pumps. Mind you, I have the same thing with my electric gun, my 993. I was using that one. That's quite an aggressive thing, I think. Be against the pad, and if you slipped a bit, because you're pushing and wiggling the bloody legs a little bit to try and wiggle the solder out the sides, they can pop out. Someone actually did the other day. I wrote this on. I actually posted on my Patreon page. Some of my Patreons have seen it. Is a little cheat sheet thing I've kind of putting together. I was thinking that I want to have like diagnostics methodology. Methodology. I can't remember the bloody word. I don't know. Mythology. Is that it? Where this is not going to come out on screen very well. It's really small text. And doesn't wrap in this particular program. Hold on, let me just show you screen. This thing here, it's basically what I do, I suppose. And some of these lines are really, really long. So the Patreon's already seen it's posted on Patreon. And it's just like tips and tricks about diagnosis and troubleshooting things and things to do, things not to do. And I thought I was going to do basically a video going through this information. And what I was looking at is the Learn Electronics channel. He's doing some guest video spots, and I thought, I'll try and come up with something for a guest video and submit it to him. Maybe he'll use it. And I was thinking, I've had this sort of thing in my mind for a while, so I sat down the other day and wrote this. And it's, as you can see, it's just a text editor. It's not particularly formatted or anything. It's just a text editor, and I doubt you guys can even read it, to be honest. The idea is, I sit down, do a little video going through the discussion points, and say, just do a video on this and just talk through this lot. And then I put on Patreon, and I can't remember who it was now. Someone said on there, I should probably just do videos about this as a tutorial instead. I was thinking, actually, that's not a bad idea. I should probably maybe hold on to this and actually go through and use this as a tutorialist and go through, do some tutorials on certain aspects of this and see how they perform. They might be quite good videos. They might be rubbish. I have no idea. But, yeah, we'll see. I'm still sort of on the fence, but I do want to do a guest video for that Little Electronics channel. I do want to get it done. So I still need to find something which would be suitable. Problem is, all the videos I've got currently queued up, they're all quite long. So I think the shortest video I could potentially do would be about 25 minutes. Because these are currently unedited as well, so they're quite big. So if I did them down, it'd probably be sort of 20-25 minutes or so, which is probably getting a bit long for a guest video for someone else's channel. Plus also some of these things I'm thinking, well, they'd probably do okay on my channel. So I've got one here for like a UPS battery replacement, and that doesn't sound particularly exciting. I've done videos on these things before, and they've actually performed kind of okay. So so makes you want to think, I probably want to save that for my channel. Yeah, so with through-hole parts, especially if you've got double-sided boards, so you have to be careful not to lift the top traces off when you take the part out. Yeah, you must not use any force. If you use force, then you're going to be ripping things off. Anyway. Right. So I don't know if you guys can actually read this or not. If you can, it's probably taking you ages to read it because there's a lot of text and half it's off the screen. Anyway. So it's just sort of tips and tricks. That's really all it is. The main things here, like the very first points, like up here, it's like be methodical, have a plan of attack. Well, sometimes I don't, but I usually develop one. Make notes about anything you fix, whether it be video like I do, or written notes, taking photos, whatever. And this is something I created. I don't know, as a gimmick, I suppose, but we'll possibly use Defpom's rule of halves. Can't say it right. Defpom's rule of halves. As in, when I'm doing diagnostics, is I try and start in the middle. I start halfway, or eliminate half of the circuitry, right? Because that way you're improving your odds of finding the fault quickly. So, like in the Dash Calibrator, for example, when I had that thing and I had that short on the boards, I took out half the boards, retested. If the fault was not there, I put half the other boards back in again. So that meant I had 3/4 of the boards in the unit. And just doing it in halves like that, like I start halfway in a circuit if I can, because that way it eliminates the first half or the second half of the circuit. And you know, sometimes you can't do that though, but that's sometimes made up. Looking for patterns, that's another key thing which I do. I notice patterns, be it a frequency, a voltage rail, or even a component. You know, even not just on that one repair, but across multiple repairs, you might see there's a particular part which always fails, such as reefer capacitors. Everyone's noticed that pattern. Expecting multiple faults, not just one. Often there's more than one fault. Don't forget the branch circuits. So if you've got parallel circuitry, don't assume that they're not interfering with what you're doing. You know, they could be the fault is in the branch and it's dragging down the circuitry you're trying to fix, because you don't realise the fault's over there, not the bit you're doing. And the other one, if you do get bogged down in repair, sleep on it. Let your brain process what you've been doing, because sometimes it will just come to you later on. Yeah, I mean that's just the main tips there, and I've got more detailed stuff goes down further and further, and more into it the further along you go. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing videos on that. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how I'll structure it, and I don't know. Methodology. That's it. Hey Brian, how's it going? Tony? Photo induction method there, just pop it with 10 kV. Yeah, when you're in a hole, stop digging. Yes, indeed. The half split method. Oh yeah, could be. I did actually try and have a look and see if I could find like a term for it. I couldn't find a term. So okay, but yeah, just do it down the middle. Halve it each time. Yeah, I just find it works quite well. Anyway, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but I'm going to turn this into some videos of potentially doing some of these things, or whether I do a video discussing it and then I'll grab clips from my previous videos and insert them in there and give examples. That'll take a bit of work to find all these examples. I've got them, but I'll have to try and find them. With over 850 videos published, it's a bit hard to find that sort of information. It's in there somewhere. Yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to do about that aspect of it, if I do anything with it, versus doing a guest video and what I actually provide for that, you know. Because YouTube's currently going through a big dip. Well, at least for us electronics creators. You probably, I think, who mentioned it? FranLab mentioned it. And it's true that a lot of us creators that are finding that we're suddenly dropped in the past month or two. Our views have dropped, subscribers have dropped quite a lot. Like 30%, 50% potentially in some areas. So it's a big downturn across all of us, not just one channel, but all the channels are finding the same kind of thing. These are the ones I've been talking to and, you know, I'm involved with. So yeah, I mean, we do normally get a little bit of a dip in this time, but this is a pretty big dip. The outside test voltages, yes, well I do have that on the list of testing voltages, but it's a little bit further down. It's after all the visual inspection kind of stuff. So I'm trying to go through and say, right, first visually look at everything, check stuff, look for faults, and then worry about testing voltages later on and checking for ripple if necessary. One of the things I've actually put in there is that I don't tend to check for ripple that much, only if I'm not replacing capacitors or if I'm suspicious about circuit. Because generally, the gear I'm working with at least, I just replace the capacitors, so why do I need to check for ripple? I'm just going to replace them. There's no point. I only really worry about if I'm going to be not replacing a capacitor because I don't have it or something like that, you know. So yeah, but I've tried to cover a lot of stuff that came to me. I don't know. I probably wrote in probably an hour or so. I wrote that, maybe a bit more. something like that. But I'm not completely sure I've got one there. Safety glasses, rubber gloves. To be honest, I don't use safety glasses on gear. Never really had a problem with things exploding. I've had plenty of things smoke, you know, reefer caps and tantalums and stuff like that. Those do a bit of a bang sometimes, but the Agiletics, they can go with a bang if you've got a big problem with them, I suppose. But never really had anything which caused a problem that made me think, oh, I should have had glasses on for that. But I'm sure it should do. Maybe if you're dealing with like glass screens on bits of gear, maybe, you know, you don't get bits of glass flying out if it's bending. Yeah. Rubber gloves, yeah. So sometimes things are pretty dirty, or if you're working on something sensitive, like I've been doing. But that's what you're doing, I suppose. I mean, it's hard to try and do a generalised thing. So I did a mailbag yesterday. Actually, did a couple of things yesterday. I actually did recorded a podcast yesterday with Simple Electronics. Do a risk assessment. You getting into health and safety here? No. I have to do a JSEA soon. Job Safety and Risk Analysis. Digital or optical microscopes. Well, optical was better. Generally. But digital's fairly easy to use with a computer and stuff like that. Or big screens, you can blow it up on screen. Depends what you're doing. I mean, I know that like trinocular microscopes are generally better, but then you've got to be bent over like this, and you're actually looking through it all the time, and you have to have the heights right, and they can be a bit harder to use in that way. Although if you've got them set up right, you're probably not bending over too much. It depends on the height you've got to have it at. But if you've got a digital one, you can just have it on the screen, you can sit back and be relaxed, you can look at the screen, or whatever. You know, it depends on what you prefer, really. Yeah, see, some people like optical, some people like digital. I mean, I don't have an optical scope. I do want to get one, actually. Yeah, a lot of people have got digital because sometimes it is easier. And in most cases, actually, I think they're probably cheaper as well. Generally cheaper. But the advantage of digital is that it's easier. You can put it onto a screen in most cases. Unless you've got a trinocular microscope, then you can actually then have a camera on the microscope as well. So, yeah. You much prefer the optical? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I need to actually get one. I did actually request one from Banggood not long ago, but I didn't have any stock of that particular one, so haven't got one yet. But I'm going to get one. I'll do a review on one at some point. Your digital one's got a small footprint, small field of view. What's the one you've got? Is that one of those Andon Styles ones? Because they defaults are quite low on the stand. You see my one. It's changed to my wide view. You probably can't see it too well there. Move that way. So you can see, if you look at my one, this is the sort of thing you've got on a stand with a microscope. Normally this ring here mounts at the top of this shaft. The optical shaft, normally it mounts up there. What I do is I put it on the end of the optical, because that's actually a solid point. So you put the ring there, it gives you a much bigger distance, and gives you a wider field of view, and it makes it easier to focus and that sort of stuff, and a bigger working area. And it works fine. If you've got that kind of thing, you know. It doesn't have to be that one, it could be the, I can't remember which one that is, I think it's that 407, 8407 was it? I can't remember what the model number was. But I've got a few different ones. I actually sold one of them. Was it the Mustal G600? I think it was. It's one. I think it was the first digital one I got. I sold that earlier in the year because I started. I've got two Andon style microscopes, and yeah, so I didn't need it anymore. So I flicked it off. Yeah, it's the Andon Star 407. I think it's the same as the one I've got there, isn't it? Just lift it up. So mount it on that end ring. That makes a big difference. Yeah, but I do want to get a optical scope as well. I would like to get one. But again, you got the mass as well. They're quite bulky things, aren't they? You need to mount them quite sturdily and what have you. So that's a consideration for how you attach it to the desk and or what stand you use or whatever. But yeah, I do want to get one. But like I said, when I requested one from Banggood, they didn't have any in stock. So I passed on that and went to something else. I think I've got something else coming actually. Something's on the way. Should have arrived by now, hasn't arrived yet. Might be 409. I can't remember which one it is. I've got a smaller one. I've got. The hell are they? Let me look at my videos. I'll be able to tell you what they are. Let me look at my video history. I'll tell you what numbers the ones I've got. Look up Andon Star. I've got a 207 and a 409. That's right. Okay, so 409 is a big one that's on there now, and the 207 is the other one which I've got set up on my shelf there, which is the very first one I got from Andon Star. So those are the two I've done, and they both work quite well by shifting it up and standing it on that in ring. You bought a DaVinci Pro, $30, 27-inch screen. Okay. I'm not familiar with that particular thing. I will have to look it up now, won't I? Here we go. Going down a rabbit hole of internet. Why didn't I copy like it's supposed to? I did. It copied the whole thing. Right. That's nice of it. See this bit I wanted? It's not coming up. It's not on the first page. Keeps on coming up with DaVinci Resolve. It's not the same thing. Don't know, not bringing anything up. Diff for low vision. Oh, okay. Pretty much just the Canon camera. Some even have this Canon startup sound effect. Really? I don't know. I just know that I got the Andon style ones and they work okay for me. The 409 is definitely a nicer one than the 207. The 207 is okay. It's quite compact. It works alright. I was using that for a while. But having the bigger screen to reference is definitely a nice thing. Especially if you're trying to shoot video and I'm trying to point a camera at it, it makes it a bit easier. I have to get so close to get things looking big on the screen. 77 times zoom. Okay. I don't remember what the magnification is on these things. Yeah. Yes, I was saying I recorded a podcast yesterday with Simple Electronics. So he's had a few guests on there, including Big Clive, not long ago. Actually, that was quite surprising. Big Clive, he asked Big Clive apparently, and he said yes. So that's pretty cool. So his channel's, he's got about 10,000 subs on his channel. And he's recorded things like Gadget Reboot as well, as another one I've seen on there. I think Pilot Stuff's been on there too. So he's just sort of interviewing other electronics YouTubers around the place as time goes by and just having chats with people. And so I've recorded that. Sort into probably maybe 2 hours almost yesterday, I suppose. I was chatting to him. Hey Ian, how's it going? So I think he's going to try and get that edited and published in the next couple of weeks, I think. That's what he's trying to do. So I know it's pretty busy with work and stuff too. So that'll be interesting, see how that comes out. So what I'm trying to do is basically because of YouTube, as I was kind of mentioning before, kind of drifted off it. YouTube's got this big dip going on right now, and what I'm trying to do is combat that by pushing my content out across some other channels. So people are doing guest video spots. I'm trying to get in on that and help spread the word about my channel in that way, to try and put myself in front of people, or put the channel in front of people, which YouTube currently isn't doing. So I'm just trying to help combat that a little bit, but I've still had a big dip. I mean, I got featured 2 weeks ago now, I think it was, on my mate Vince's channel. So that gave me a little bit of a bump. I think I gained about 400 subscribers from that, something like that. So that was quite nice. Try and enhance vision. Okay. Hey Ken, didn't actually do. Yeah, trinocular is what I'd like to get. I would like to get a trinocular, and then try and get a bit of both, you know. So you've got the camera on there to do the big screen at the same time, and stream to the computer. Enhanced vision, eh? Alright. Okay. Interesting, Mantis come up. Mantis microscope came up. Interesting. You called Da Vinci, didn't you? There we go. Now it's finding it. I'm just curious what it looks like, really. So I take it this is targeting visually impaired people, so that they've got a way of reading things a bit more easily. I guess that's what it is, targeting it. But a microscope's a microscope, isn't it, really? Okay, right. Right, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting little system, actually. It's not bad. It's fairly compact. Well, I thought the only issue with that would be like working area in front of the screen. So I'll show this up top here so people can see what I'm looking at. Let's pop this out. Come on. Right. So it's this kind of thing. I'll make it bigger. So I would have thought the only issue would be like working space in front of it. So maybe if you're trying to work on something, a piece of equipment, you might have trouble with the camera not being far enough away from the screen. I don't know, maybe you can adjust that. I'm not sure what the situation is there. It looks like it does maybe swing out, does it? Does OCR as well. Cool. 2 times to 77 times magnification for the extended range. Okay. Interesting gear. I reckon it's worth $3 grand, do you? Nice. You considered making videos about product development, do's and don'ts when designing products, things like that. Yeah, okay. I can understand why you want to do that. I actually have involvement with product development myself. To a point. I have engineering involvement, let's say that. Don't want to give too much away. 0.5 Barlow lens. Yeah, I think that's what I've got in mind actually. I've got my Eakins microscope down here, which is what I did a review on a couple of years ago now, probably. That's my high-powered one. So if I need to do something really small, and then I can use that if like these other microscopes don't really cut it. Although they do seem to do quite well. Because I got that originally when I started doing the MacBook stuff, seeing really small, but I found that although it's autofocus stuff like that, it did try to hunt. If you did anything which made it go out of focus, it would hunt a little bit and then try and find it sometimes. So I found that a little bit annoying, though you could turn it off and manually focus stuff. You know, you could do it in this menu system. And you know, I've got that still there, but that's actually quite nice. But that's got quite a big viewing area because I've got it really high up. I've got a big post on it, so it stands up really high. So I can actually put things quite large underneath it and see a walled area as well, and then zoom in slowly. It's a bit slow to zoom in. But that works alright. I've still got it there, and I'll be keeping hold of that. That was quite an expensive microscope, actually. No, I'm doing live chat. Should be able to see it. I'll go back to this screen. Maybe it's going below the picture, was it? Oh, let's have a look. Was that? No, you should have been able to see it. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway. So you got an invitation from Vince, but you declined. Okay. Well, I mean, I had a video there which I'd just kind of thrown together. It wasn't really thrown together. I had to do a lot of work on that video. It was a very basic repair. So it was someone actually had asked me to fix this remote control for them. I don't know if anyone saw that video. I don't know, but on this channel, what happened? It fallen off a sofa. Remote control apparently, well, as it turns out, it must have split open and then closed back up again. Whether someone closed it back up again or if it did it when it split open and it closed itself, I don't know. And then it was dead after that. And what it turned out to be was that the battery terminal had come out of its, because they had two terminals side by side, as they often do, and the wires are exposed wires and they run next to each other, but there's normally a gap there. But because one had come out and gone back in, it had gone back in the wrong place, and it would have been shortened across the terminals. So that's what it ended up being. And I'm still trying to make it an interesting video. I did some bits and pieces in there, cleaned it up a bit, you know, did a bit of servicing on the remote control, cleaned up the pads, that kind of thing, so it keeps working for a long time. But the yeah, so I thought, I'll just give him that one, and you know, because I ended up, because I had to try and edit it down to about 8 minutes, which is hard. It was a 20-minute footage, I think it was 20 minutes of footage, and I got it down to 8 minutes. I cut a lot out, and you actually see from the video it's actually quite jumpy, but I'm cutting out every little bit to try and get it as short as I can, because he wanted about an 8-minute video. So that was the hard thing for me. It's like, well, that's the only thing I've really got here which is even possible to get that short. So I think he would have allowed me to have a bit longer one, but that's the target he said is 8 minutes. So yeah, because he likes to do little quick videos, doesn't he? Quite quick repairs. Generally, he does do some extended ones sometimes. I think because he's trying to do multiple guests at a time on each video, he's trying to keep it to a reasonable length so people would actually be able to watch them all. So that's quite good. Misses you a lot, so it wouldn't really benefit you. Maybe that's the case. Maybe. So, I mean, people, if I do find if someone like Dave drops my name in a video, or if he mentions me a lot when I'm on, say he's doing a live stream, and he mentions me a few times on a live stream, I do notice a little spike in subscribers. So I do know that this mentioning you does give you a little bit of a spike. So yeah, okay. Well, we should probably do something instead of sitting here chatting. Oh god, I've been chatting for 3/4 of an hour. What are we using for a mic? Why does it sound good or bad? My mic right now is a Samsung Go mic. It's about an arm's length away. The reason I'm using that is because it covers the room quite well. It's got switch on the side. You can do like directional, omnidirectional mics set up, so it's kind of set to omnidirectional, so I can go across the room over there, and it will still hear me okay. But obviously, it gets a lot of room noise. It's a trade-off. But if I set it to directional mode, it's much more focused and much more limited, I suppose, in where it's going to pick up sound from. I've also got my ceramic mic, which I'm trying to use, but it doesn't pick up the room so well. It's very focused. It's a very narrow kind of area it will cover. So if I try and move across the room, it's not so good. So if I switch over mics. So this is the ceramic microphone, which is, I actually prefer this one slightly more for doing a single space. So when I was doing the the podcast yesterday, I was recording with the ceramic microphone, but I was also sitting a lot closer to it, so I think I had the ceramic probably about this sort of distance, so it's on this kind of volume, this kind of tone to it, so it sounds a little bit different. I actually think I prefer this one myself, but background noise, yeah, that's actually my NAS. My NAS is doing a backup conveniently. It chose to do it right now. It's only just behind the monitor right here. My NAS is right behind my monitor, so it sits there, and so I can hear it. It's been getting noisier actually. I might have to look at the discs on it. But yeah, so that's the ceramic mic, which I did a review on about a month ago now. And that's back to the Samsung mic, which says omnidirectional, so it picks up sound from behind it as well, a lot better. So you probably find that this one's picking up the NAS a lot more, because it picks up the room a lot better. Yeah. Have I received replacement components in this recent mailbag to repair something? Anything specific you're thinking about there? Yeah, so the ceramic mic is very directional. It's only basically what's in front of it. It's much more of a kind of podcasting mic, really, or thing like that. So it's basically meant for back to one noise and echo. So this mic is better for sitting right here. Right, well, the other mic is better, so this mic is better for sitting right here. It does take away a lot of the other noise and the room echoes and stuff like that, and Samsung picks up the cats better. Yeah. So I don't know. A bit of a trade-off. If I go over that side of the room though, this microphone doesn't hear me, or hears me really badly. So yeah, the cats are hungry. They want their breakfast. But my wife's not here, so normally she feeds the cats. In fact, she does a lot of things around here, and but she's not here, so the cats are hungry. And when she's not here, the stepson feeds the cats, and he's still in bed. So they're yowling, and hopefully they'll wake him up, and he'll get up and feed them. Yeah, so I mean, I prefer this mic. I think this one sounds a bit better, but the trade-off is it doesn't pick up over there very well. So I prefer this one over here for that side of things. That's just a more general mic for the room, but as you said, it is a bit noisier. I think part of the problem is that my NAS is like right here. My NAS is probably the same distance away from the microphone as I am right now, to give you some idea. And then sitting there doing a backup, clicking away. Yeah, doesn't help. Anyway, we should do something. So I've been waffling for 50 minutes now. This mic has a nice mid-highs. Yeah, it's interesting, eh? I mean, I can actually EQ these mics. The OBS has got the EQing built into it, so you can actually change like through the VST plugins. So you can actually EQ the mics a little bit and try and change them. I do have them dropping off the low end. I do actually have them EQ'd. So dropping off the low end, so only like thumps on the bench. It should try and filter those out to try and cut off the knocks and bangs and stuff like that. So the bottom end is being cut off a little bit. Below 80 Hz is dropping off. Sounds like the cat might have given up. Just stop meowing. So yes, right. So what we're going to work on? I mean, I've got a. I don't know. Like I said, we've got the Fluke 8938, which I've done nothing on yet, apart from use it. I've actually used it, I think. It's sitting down there. I've got the Cylotron, which I really want to get done because I've been talking about getting this done for ages, and I want to sell that one. So unless I do it, I'm not going to sell it. Maybe that's why I haven't done it yet, because I don't want to sell it. I don't know. Subconsciously, I don't want to keep it. I want to keep everything. You've built a sudden sharp noise filter circuit for a security system. Okay, so it's a bit like a glass break thing or impact sensing kind of thing, yeah? Because I actually have a glass break sensor for my house alarm system. But something would trigger it sometimes. I'm not quite sure what it was, but something would make it trigger. So I ended up not having that. I took it back out because it's causing false alarms. So it's a bit annoying for the neighbours. I've got motion sensors everywhere anyway, so it doesn't really need it. Someone comes through a window, it's going to pick them up. Phone triggered it. It could be the phone, actually. Yes, you're right. It could have been the phone. It's possible. Sudden noises. Yes. Entirely possible, actually. That could have been it. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to work on. We could do the Cylotron front panel with the internals, which is something Ian has done himself. Or we could work on the 8938. Or something else. Maybe I've got a. The hell was that thing again? Was it Boonton 4200 or 4220 or something like that? I can't remember what it was now. Power meter, which is half fixed. Well, 3/4 fixed. Well, I don't have a sensor in it right now. It's out in the other lab. Can't say it. Open my wallet. No. George, what are you doing in here? One of the cats are in here. She must have been asleep somewhere. Come here. You always need a cat in a stream, don't you? You hungry? You might be hungry. I've already fed you. This cat's been fed, so this one's fine. But she just likes attention. Yeah. Hey. So the Fluke, you reckon? That's about one vote for Fluke. Well, one vote for the Fluke so far. So that's a differential voltmeter, which is used for precision voltage measurements. A Fluke 891A. It's not so much a pick-up cat. She doesn't like being picked up that much. She likes being cuddled. Anyway, let the cat choose. She doesn't know what she wants. Normally, I've got a UPS on the desk here. I did a video a few years ago on this. I've got this big UPS, and I modified it to put some big batteries on it. So instead of having the standard little SLA batteries inside it, they're quite big ones. I think they're like 12 ampere batteries. There's 2 of them in there, something like that. And because I was sick of spending a small fortune to replace these batteries, what I did is when I replaced the batteries in my motorhome, these big gel cell batteries, 130 ampere batteries, I took the old ones out, obviously, replaced them, and I've got 2 of the old ones down here underneath my desk. It's cell batteries, so I'm not worried about that. And so I've got 130 amp hours at 24 volts running on my UPS. Anyway, so if I get a power outage, all my computer gear still stays on. It's fine. It's just I can keep running it for like an hour without an issue. runs fine. Anyway, the cat likes to sleep on top of the UPS down there. She just sort of sits on it because it's a little bit warm, you know, and she just keeps her feet warm, I guess. Anyway, this cat talk. Let's get this Fluke out, shall we? So 891, eh? What's the 891? The name, well, the number's familiar. I can't think what it is. A little bit dusty, it's been sitting there for a little while. Here we go. This beast. I don't want to focus on either one. So yeah, it's over it. 891. Is this something you mentioned to me before? Give me a second here. Let me look this up. See, I've got the 893 service manual. Which I think is giving me trouble. Yes, this one's a bit weird. I need to open a different program. Depending which program I open it in, depending on how well I can view it, it's a bit weird. It's struggling with it. Come on, here we go. Let's try a different program. Remember this problem. Right, check this up here. Yeah. So technically I shouldn't be showing this because it's kind of copyrighted by the people which own it, I suppose. Kind of. Well, people which converted the format, I suppose, really don't really own it. They converted the document to make it available. So I've got this one, which came from Arctic Media. So I suppose me plugging them a little bit is offsetting the fact that I'm showing a manual they provided. They're very fussy about not sharing the manuals you buy. They're very specific about it. It's said to me specifically, do not share the manual. Because they knew about my radio mod site and the fact I've got this information on there. I've got a bunch of information up there and sticker diagram stuff on it, so they're very funny about it, but I don't know. This is general manual. Let's try and find, you know, trying to find a board layout. There we go, that'll do. Around there somewhere. Reference amplifier, there we go. So it's got this sort of stuff in it. It's got photos of the boards, obviously. And some more. Pretty sure it's got circuit diagrams in here. Now look down this side, shall we? Schematics, let's go to that one. Here you go, diagrams. So I don't know how similar this is to your one. They could be very similar. We'll just go behind the chat window. Of course it is. Anyway. Yeah. So we have a manual for it, at least for this one. You found it 895, eh? You have that one, okay. 104 pages. I've got 96 pages in mine. You've got 8 pages more than me. Ah, 891's DC only. Maybe that's why I'm thinking of it. Maybe I've got that number in my head because when I was first looking to buy one, I saw the 891 and realised it was only DC and I wanted one that did both. Yes, I bet you that's what it is. I'm curious about why you got 8 pages more than me though. That's interesting. Maybe it's because they've got split scans or something like that. Maybe the scan's split across 2 pages or something like that. It could be that. So 891, you can't find that. Have you tried Artex, see if they've got it? What are you doing, George? Sitting on the floor looking at me, scratching. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Artec do really good scans. They actually get a physical manual to do a high quality scan. They do quite high resolution, which is why I don't really mind paying the $20 whatever it may be for that particular manual if I can't find it somewhere else. Because they do really good manuals. They do actually take care to scan them properly and stuff like that. So, you know, they're a little bit expensive and they're a little bit funny to deal with, but if you need the manual, need the manual. And you know, if you want a high quality one, then you know it pays to go there if you can't find it somewhere else. You know, it's worth paying the money. I'm just thinking if I actually found that manual before for the 891 or not. I don't have it now, so it's unlikely. But even if I find a service manual or something, I'll download it and I'll keep a copy of it, even if it's something I don't own. Or so, if it's something I might get one day, then I'll grab it. So I've got all sorts of manuals. Artec Media. I'll chuck a link in. I'll make sure I get the right page and they changed the name. It's called Artec Media, now it's called Artec Manuals. Better make sure I get it right. Tell them I sent you. Tell them I sent you. Maybe they're a bit nicer with me next time. A little bit funny with me last time. They actually checked me out. I ordered the manual, and they checked me out. They looked at my email address I'd used, found my website, checked out the website, and found out that I had circuit diagram stuff on my website, and they were a bit funny with me about that. So they definitely, you know, it's very strongly stipulated I must not share this manual. So I said, yeah, sure, I understand. I am in the same boat. I don't want people getting what I've got and sharing it to everybody else for free and stuff as well, you know, unless it's out there for free anyway. But yeah, that the 891, okay. Yeah, but it's a good resource. There's lots of resources. Another one is, I'll give you some. I'll put some links in here, right? Let's do that. The resources that I know about, but some of you probably all know about as well. If I can get it right. If I can get the name right myself. This is another resource if you don't know about it. We got some good stuff on there. How dare I be half a shady Zen? Well, even their claims of ownership of the manuals, because it's a claim under transformative works. All they've done is scan a manual, right? And they've put their own pages in there, their own stamps on the pages, you know, their name on. It's like, well, they don't really own the manual. It's a bit of a tenuous link. It's like, I'm not really sure that they can really claim rights to the manuals when they didn't write the manual. They just got a copy of it. Yes, exactly. But hey, I'm not going to complain. If I can get the manual from somewhere, I'm grateful to get the manual. It's simple as that. Even if I don't really agree with their philosophy on it a little bit, I can understand them wanting to protect their work and protect their income. I can understand that completely. So I'm not against them at all. But yeah, they claim it as a transformative work. Yeah, tenuous. Anyway, what other sites are there? Oh, God, there's like everyone knows about XDevs. Everyone has to know about XDevs, don't they? All right, let's put a link in for that as well. In case you don't know about XDevs, there's some good manuals on there. It's got heaps of stuff on there. Oh, God, what else is there? There is a Marconi based one. Let me just check this. I think this might still work. It's been a while. I'm just looking through my bookmarks. If this page loads, I'll share it. I'll put it that way. What do you want, George? Page isn't loading. Oh. .7 meg. Is that what it is? That's pretty good. Okay, thanks, Ian. Oh, it's got a flashy cover page, eh? Let's have a look. It's definitely a much grainier manual, isn't it? Yeah, mine's definitely better quality, isn't it? If only I was allowed to share it with you. Yeah, mine's definitely a nicer manual. This has just been scanned at low resolution, hasn't it? Maybe it got scanned a lot earlier in life where scanners weren't quite so good. I don't know. It's a shame. Shame I didn't do it in high res. It's probably good enough to use though, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty readable. Not 100%, but it's not bad. I shall show you on screen while talking about people. George, what do you want? So here you go. But it is definitely a lot grainier than I've got. Resolution's definitely much lower. I mean, things like this are, it's readable still, kind of. It's still mostly there. Yeah. Oh great, it's gonna start howling now. What's those PC pictures? Yeah, that's nice. Inner one. There's the other format. There's two formats of this Mido. There's a wide one and a short one. Yeah. I mean, it kind of gives you an idea. But yeah, the one I've got is definitely much better. How close is that one to the unit you've got, the actual 891 then? Is it similar enough or not? Or is it just too different? Even contacted Fluke and they said no. That's probably just too old, eh? Long lost. Yeah, it link says they have one for $14. Is that the Artec Media ones? This other link didn't load, unfortunately. This must be dead. It's a shame. This is because this other site was Marconi manuals. It had a bunch of Marconi stuff on it. It's gone. It's a real shame. Yeah, I imagine it would be quite different. I thought maybe there's just like an add-on board and it's, all the DC side was the same, but they added on an AC converter or something. Chris, I'm not seeing yours. I'm not seeing any links coming from you. So let me there you go. You should be able to post links now. Fred, I didn't see you post a link either. Because it filters out links in a chat. It doesn't. You can't post links normally. I'll do this too then. There you go. There you can post a link as well. So post links. Do it again. I haven't heard of that site before, actually. I just did a quick search for that name you put in there. That's a new one on me. It's always good. New sources are always good. Right. I was looking at the website now. I'm getting a bit distracted. Owners and service manuals. Where's the search link? Oh, there it is. So, 891A, we'll do a search for that. Didn't see a result from that. Maybe it's not doing wildcard searches. Fluke. No. Okay, let's look for F then. Here we go. This search form is rubbish. Okay. Fluke. 891A. They do have it. Operation manual, though. It's not a service manual. It's an operation manual, so it may not be. It may not have schematics in it. Sometimes I do. Balmer, that's the other one. Good on you. Yes, Balmer Archive. That's another one. Yes. Actually, before I go away from this page, we're going to go back and store this one. I have to make sure I bookmark these things. Sources are always good to have, you have to pay for the things. Let's bookmark that. This is beneficial. Hope everyone's enjoying the links. Right, bookmark. Dear, okay. Add bookmark. Yeah, Balmer's the other one I was trying to think of. Well, you've got quite a bit in there, haven't you, Chris? Got some Detron stuff. Ooh. I guess you found these from the same sources I found them as well. Or maybe I did grab some from your thing here before. I actually just read the EEPROM out of a 1062 yesterday. I've got one sitting over here which I started working on last live stream. We were recapping it. And my EEPROM programmer came back. So I pulled the IEEE EEPROM out and read that one because I didn't have that one on file. The MPU board, all the EEPROMs I already had because it's the same as other units, which were the 2732 variant or 27C32 variant of the EEPROMs. But the IEEE board, the only one was a 2532 variant. So this is the 2732 variant of the EEPROM in that module, and I didn't have that on record, so I pulled that one and read that. So I've got a copy of the 27C32 EEPROM for the IEEE board. Okay, we'll have to make sure I bookmark your stuff because that's also helpful. Right, bookmark that. Hope everyone else is bookmarking these as well. Very helpful. Back to the chat, see what else we've got here. Okay. IT Labs. That one sounds familiar. Okay, wants to go out. Of course she does. Come on. No, storms coming again apparently. Okay. So it's GenRad. Oh right, okay, they got all this test gear and stuff they do. Right, that's why it's familiar. Right, that's why it's familiar. Okay, bookmark that. I think I've been putting bookmarks in the wrong places. I'll have to fix that later on. Let's reverse engineer the circuit with a near field probe and spectrum analyzer functional arbitrary waveform generator. That sounds like a lot of work. A few scanned, yeah, just a few. You don't know manuals before you purchase gear. Yeah, I often do. I usually try and do some due diligence, I suppose, where you make sure you can actually get the stuff you need to fix the thing first. Cool. Yeah, the more sources there are that we can find, the better, and also the more what's the word I'm looking for? Replicated, I suppose. If everyone can spread these manuals around between sites, when one site goes down, it's not a total loss because there'll be somewhere else. Because the sites never last forever. The sites will always go. Eventually, the person will move on or do something else, or die or something like that, and then the website will disappear, and then all that information is gone. So it's really important that these things do get shared around as much as possible and duplicated as many places as possible. So, you know, I have a massive library myself. Everything I've found which I've worked on, or things which I'm curious at, or anything I've even downloaded to have a look at, I've still got them. So I do intend to one day do something with that, but there's a lot of data. So I will have to look at that actually. What's my database size? Now put marks for those, I'll close that. What is my current manual size? Let me have a look. I've got 32 gigabytes of manuals. Yeah, that's just like test equipment stuff and other stuff, like, you know, that kind of thing. Workshop manuals, yeah, service manual, operating manuals, that's all in there. Some software, EEPROMs like firmware, stuff like that as well. 32 gig of that. Like my CB radio stuff, which is a completely separate folder. Let's go and grab this one. So my CB radio stuff, which is separate, that's 3 gig of service manuals for those. I've got 2 gig of service of circuit diagrams. So I've got, approaching 40 gig of information, which I could put online. Yeah, I think my current hosting is borderline for putting that much data on it. I don't think I could put that much up there. Maybe I'll do it one day. Hey Tony. Yeah, just been waffling, Tony. You haven't done anything yet. You haven't missed anything yet. Okay. Okay, David, let's fix this problem, shall we? Okay, post the link now, David. You should be able to do it. You're on your own server, okay. Yeah, it makes it a bit easier. Not really limited on space. I know Ian's got his own server as well. He runs his website from. So, it's something I was tempted to do, but my internet connection just isn't good enough. I wouldn't want to do that. I could do it, but I have the means to do it. Hey Kerry, how's it going? You're on your own as well. Okay. I mean, I know years ago I did play with running a web server, and that's when I still had dial-up. It wasn't working very well. I did play with it at one point, running my own system. You got 20 gig just of laptop stuff. Actually, it's hard to include my stuff which I found on Apple diagrams. Let's just have a look at how much of this I've got. Although this, you have to be more careful about trying to share, because you end up getting prosecuted for that, because Apple are a bit funny about that sort of stuff. Well, great, I just lost the folder I was in. Right, okay. I've only got 2 gig of Apple stuff. But again, showing it is risky. Apple were very funny about their IP. Okay, let's check that one out. Now, open it in the right browser would be even more helpful. I run 2 browsers, so I keep things separate depending on what I'm doing. Strangely. One works better for doing YouTube stuff, one works better for doing other stuff for me. Okay, stuff they got for sale, right. Boat Anchor Manual Archive. Interesting that it says that specifically. That's curious. Okay, I'll bookmark that one now. I'll just say the words, I'll bookmark that one as well. I'll have to sort those bookmarks out later on, organise them all. Cool. So it's now been an hour and a half, I've done nothing yet apart from waffle. That's bad. Click on hardware. Oh, okay. No, Fred, no. Click on hardware. Okay, I'll go back and look at that one. On the one page again. Okay, manuals, hardware. Okay. F. Yes, this is looking bigger. Okay. Where did I see that? Fluke. Products and software. This is an interesting structure, but okay. 893, no 891. Oh. Yeah. Okay. 893 operation manual. Let's grab that. It's opening up in the viewer, I think it is. Right. So I have that one. Instruction manual. Yeah, maybe. I think call it operation manual, I think it's probably what it is. Yeah, so I was going to play with running my own server many years ago. I did do it a little bit and fiddle around with things, and it wasn't the best. The insect condition just wasn't good enough, and it really still isn't now. The 24 gig in your hardware folder. So between us we've got lots of manuals. Yeah, this one looks very similar to that. Okay. So this is, okay, this operation manual is the same as the one that Ian's got, I think. It's got a circuit diagram stuff in the operation manual. So operation manual on the 891 version may have diagrams in it. It's possible, might be worth a punt, Ian. So what's actually wrong with your one? So you're saying about it being dead, you had it for a while. I thought you'd better figure it out. You know, you're pretty good at figuring things out, so I thought you probably wouldn't get stumped by that. I guess it's something weird and obsolete that's going on there. $35 gig, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they do have lots of manuals. They do. So yes, I've stored that one. So I'll organise those bookmarks later on. Very helpful. The more sources there are, the better. You never looked at it. Oh, Ian. Mind you, it's older gear, isn't it? I mean, it's basically a precision multimeter at the time, and I imagine that things like the 7075 you've got, if you still got that, it's probably better. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know. It's differential, isn't it? So it's a little bit different. But different technique because it uses a internal reference and then a Kelvin-Varley divider, isn't it? Something like that to balance it all out. I can't believe the precision of this thing was now. Right, we should actually go and do something instead of just waffling, eh? Just get on with it. Hour and a half, I've not really done anything yet. That's terrible. You just sold that one, did you? Okay. So I'm planning on selling mine. Once I did as input connectors, because I can't sell it without a cable. Right, let's go over there. Turn some lights on. I don't know what we're going to do with this. I mean, we could just power it up and play with it. It's got 8 screws in the casing. Audio still okay? Yeah, looks like it. Okay. Alright. Trying to think that I'm pretty sure I have actually opened this up before and there's a little peek inside it. And some of the screws come right out, some are kind of retained. One of them came right out already. Just depends on how worn the casing is. Come on, cooperate. No, it's going to come right out. It's getting stuck. Or is it? No, it's not going to come out. Right. I didn't really think about the catcher screws on the sides, did I? You got that bit wrong. Catcher screws on the sides. That is not working. Come on, let you come. Yeah. So, that's what's inside it. Now what I instantly see is a bunch of Phillips caps, which makes me nervous because Phillips caps never last. At least not this type. The big ones tend to, but these smaller ones they don't seem to go very well. Actually I'll use a different meter. Let's use my handheld. Let's do some roughing circuit testing. Let's see what we see from these caps. I can get to a couple of them. Right, where's the swap this over? I wish I would actually remember the last setting. It'd be really nice if it did that. Which is why I tend to use the bench one more than the handheld one, because it does remember most of the settings. It doesn't remember all of them, but it remembers the frequency and stuff like that, which is helpful. Alright, let's chuck this on here. You can always take these cards out to look at them. Well, I think there's some connection cables. Yeah, there's some cables plugged in as well, so it's a bit harder. So what are we getting? Yeah. Bad connection is what we're getting. It doesn't quite know what to make of it, does it? It could be a bad sign. I can see 25 volt, can't see what the value is. It's underneath it. Let's do the next one. But again, it could be because it's in circuit, it's not liking in circuit. Oh, have we got a stable reading? I think we finally have. No, you haven't. Yeah, it's not happy about that, is it? .9 with a 1 dissipation. It can't make up its mind. It's all over the place. Well, no, it's 266 at a 0.6 ohms, but it seems to have settled on that one. And it says 220 microfarad, so okay, that's looking kind of right then. Okay, it's like it's finally settled on a value. Oh, we passed it. Dissipation, 0.12. That's actually looking okay. That might be alright, but yeah, I don't trust these Phillips caps. Unfortunately, these boards have got a bunch of interconnects in between the boards. Little plug-in cables, so you have to be really careful. If you unplug things, you've got to plug them back in the right places. I'm actually wondering if I've played with this yet, because this all seems awfully familiar. I'm not sure. There's some big caps on the bottom of this board here. 40 volt. I can't quite see what the capacity is. They're fairly large. Might be 3000 microfarads, I'm guessing, based on the size. Well, let's retest this cap. It could be the speedy and circuit stuff which is messing with it. The other circuitry nearby which is affecting the readings. Could easily be that, which is why I can't get a reading off it. We're getting 68 there. That's a sensible reading. Okay, looks like we've got something now. 68 sounds about right. And 0.1 dissipation. So it actually seems okay. ESR 2.7 ohms, that's reasonable. So, okay, that might be alright. I'm not going to completely rule it out just yet, because you know these smaller caps are usually ones that get trouble. Also, the chassis is split in two halves. There's also the bottom half as well, which got some other stuff in it. Let's power this thing up and actually have a play with it. I think it's on the right voltage already. Yes, it's got a switch on the back. That's fine. I do remember playing with this thing. I can't remember exactly what I did. I remember this, that's right, this control here. This one used to have the battery pack in it. I think, because these switch controls don't quite match up. So. Right, let's hook something up to this. What we can use. Sit down then. Check out. Oh, more links. Let me go check those out, but I'm distracted. Hold on. A Heathkit manual, that could be handy. Just bear with me a minute. And that one there, what's that one? Oh, Fluke. So the more sources we can find for manuals, the better, and the more we can spread them around across all the different sources. It just helps to ensure they don't disappear. I'm just looking through that Fluke folder right now. A40A. I think I've already got that anyway. 5200A, I've got that, I think. I should have. Nice. I'm not quite sure about the organisation structure, where it's all sort of everywhere. I'm not quite sure why it's not listed in a alphabetical kind of order or numerical order. Oh, there's more. Go to the bottom of the page. There's more. There's heaps of them in here. Okay. I'm just trying to see if there's an 891 there. 895. I mean, manual will be out there somewhere. Someone will have it somewhere. And it's still going. Wow. Fluke has made a lot of stuff. That 728 Kelvin-Varley divider. Kelvin-Varley divider. Kelvin-Varley. I've actually been looking at trying to get one. I mean, I saw one on eBay ages ago. I thought, oh, it's like $500. Thinking, no, it's a bit steep. You know, it turns out, no, actually, that is quite a good price for it. Because there've been a lot more than that ever since I've seen them. So, I really wish I'd picked up that one now. So it's a bit of a missed opportunity, but in time I'll probably get one. Not enough I really need one, it's just been nice to have something like that which is a bit more versatile, gives you some options for doing things. Well, I'm not starting seeing 891 yet, but there's heaps of manuals here. Just keeps on going and going and going. Fluke 45, actually I know Fluke 45, but I think I've probably got the manual already. That's out of my other lab there. 863. No. There's heaps of stuff here. This goes on and on and on. Excellent, that's a nice source. I shall make sure I bookmark that. Right. Heathkit go after people today. Okay, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I suppose it's because it's kits and it's based upon their rights as the people which designed them, I suppose, but it's a shame. No, it's just people trying to preserve the gear. Anyway. So what's this thing set up for? I barely even knew how to use this thing. So I'll get a bit closer with the view. Slightly closer. There we go. That's flickering, isn't it? I haven't done my bloody camera setup. Hold on. Every time I start these cameras up for the first time, I have to go in and change them to 50 Hz instead of 60 Hz. That's one camera. That's why I didn't notice that before, actually. And that's the other camera, which is still flickering. Maybe it's a frame rate with the updating of the display. Could be the LCD display, which is what I'm seeing. Yeah, they're both on 50 Hz now, so it should be fine. Okay. Let's have a look at this thing. How do I use this thing? I don't remember. I've only used it a couple of times. I think I played with it a little bit. So, when I see right now, for start, the DC. There's a volt range, you don't need that. 10 volt range. And I'll do one. Bring this up. Where's 10 volts on there? 10 volts on here. You've got 0. Let's go 0.1%. Hasn't moved. 0.01. Oh, showing a slight high offset. 0.001 off the scale. Oh, look at that. Which one's wrong? I think it'll be this. To be honest, I think this is a little bit old. Yeah, that's a big change, isn't it? I can't remember what it's actually related to now. I might have to reread the manual. There's vernier control here. Could have been the vernier slightly out of adjustment. I mean, that's saying is that. Obviously, I'm off the mirrored scale as well. I'm looking slightly side on. So that's that. So we're getting 10.0010-ish. That'd be 1.4, 1.3 maybe. No, I think it's more accurate than that. So yeah, this is slightly off. But it is working at least. Okay, thanks for dropping by, Anonymous. Catch you later. So it's actually working. So let's try 1 volt instead. Volt. Drop it to 1 volt scale. One volt's looking basically bang on. There's a bit of error on that, I think, but 1 volt looks perfect. Which is interesting because I know this is a fraction down at 1 volt. I think it's like, is it 3 microvolts? Well, less than that. Can't remember exactly what it was now. How many volts? Can't remember what it was now. Is it 3 microvolts or 300 picovolts or something? Nanovolts. Can't remember. But that says it's fine. So 1 volt works, 10 volt works. Excellent. It's actually functional. So if I let's do 5 volts, 10 volt scale. That's on there. It's got a very slight upper drift there. Yeah, so it's 5.000 or 5 there, isn't it? So 5.005 this is thinking it is, so definitely a little bit out, but 1 volt was perfect, which is interesting. So it might just be there needs a bit of a tweak of the calibration to try and allow for different ranges maybe. I'm not sure. Looks like maybe the 10 volt range is wrong, 1 volt range looked right. I think that's probably what will be. The 10 volt range is wrong. It seems to work, but yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised those Philips capacitors measured okay. I'm really surprised by that. I really thought they would fail and read badly, but it looks fine. It works. I probably never did a video on it because there's nothing wrong with it. Although maybe slightly out of calibration. Well, that's a bit of a, oh, it's a thing. It just works. It doesn't need fixing. Sorry. That's why I never did a video on it, obviously, because it wasn't broken. Excellent. apparently I do remember reading this part of the manual actually, where it said about you have to use TVM first, so it's like just a plain reading plus or minus maximum range, and then you gradually bring it down range by range in order to get the precision you need to keep the needle towards the centre. So I do remember reading that part about it. So you always start at the highest, then bring it down and get it more and more precise as you go. But yeah, obviously DC is working. I haven't tried AC obviously, but it probably will work. I'm fairly surprised actually. So those capacitors I tested before were in the AC converter. It's actually Martin's AC converter board. So I'm not quite sure where the ranges disappear to. This board's got Zeners on it. It's got a Zener diode information marked on it. Try to see if any other naming on boards. Can't really see anything. It could easily be underneath. Where's that the ranging go? The range switch. No, that's power switch. Range switching here. It goes through. Try and see where the connections go to. It goes to the AC board. And some wiring which then disappears off. Of course it does. So I'm not quite sure where the ranging goes to. Could be one of the boards on the top. Might just be one of these adjustments on the top there, a bit of a tweak to get the 10 volt range back in alignment. Maybe what it requires, but 1 volt looked basically perfect. So that was good. But so this is, you know, at the time this would have been very accurate. But compared to what's around these days, it just doesn't really compare. I mean, I've got multimeters here which are far more accurate than this. But if you need a differential thing, like trying to do AC and DC, that's when it's a bit different. You try and do an AC measurement, that's when it comes into the zone, I think, because then it's a bit easier for doing AC measurements, because AC is a bit of a pain. I think this went up to 1 megahertz from memory on AC. I don't remember. Could be wrong. But differential on AC is the tricky one, because AC is harder to measure because of reactive effects. David, you've been looking at that for me. A2R33. Oh, come on. Do you want me to give it a tweak? A2R33, well... Okay, can you tell which board that is? R33. I'm looking for R33. I don't see R33. Oh, yes I do. It's there. So I'm guessing that's the AT board. It's probably A1, A2, A3, A4, I'm guessing. Okay, Kine, let's play with it a little bit. I know this hasn't been turned on for long enough, nothing's warmed up. I probably shouldn't be doing this. But what the hell? 10 volts again. 10 volts, 10 volts. So the needle's gradually coming over there. Oh, I want 10 volts on there, that would be helpful. Yeah. Okay. Let's try and give this thing a tweak then. What should I use to do that? I don't want to get in there and accidentally short something, you see, because of the angles I've got to try and get in there at. Let's use a ceramic. See if I can get in there. Right, this is a completely blind adjustment based on what David said. So if it goes completely wrong, David, it's your fault. Oh, no, tweaked the wrong way. Other way. Go back down. Oh, look, now I've ruined it, look. Now I've ruined it, David. Wow, that's... I think this pot's a bit dirty. Seems like I can only turn it in one direction. Are you sure you got the right one? Oh. Just plug that back in. You did say 33, didn't you? A3 is left board. A2 is next to right. Yeah. Yeah, it did say R33. What are you guys talking about? Should have let the cat loose. Yeah. Yeah, the wife's not here to do it for me. It's just doing something, but it's not doing what I expect. There you go. I think it's got a dirty spot. It's already a lot better. Yeah, it's got a dirty spot on the adjustment. There we go. See, right where it needs to be, it's dirty. So yeah, this needs a bit of clean. Let's do that. This is where it goes absolutely bloody everywhere, because that's what it does. I'm going to get into there. Something like that. Try and leak them through the top as well. Alright. So hopefully that's done the job. Cap it up again. Bring that scale back down. Of course you guys can't see that now, can you? Okay. Oh! My bit fell out. Something to happen. Right. Next range out. Oh, too far. And then you get driver out. That's pretty much it. Very slightly off there. Almost right. Now I'm going to tweak it and go completely wrong way. Completely throw it off. Nasty low. Now too high. Should lift it low, no? Come on, in between those two spots. Yeah, it's like, come on. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. I think it's as good as I'm going to get it. Okay, cool. It works. Okay, that'll do. That's enough fiddling with that. So yeah, I think that's probably all it really was parallax not working for you. Yeah, I guess the angle's slightly off there. I was trying to look above it, look downwards. No, I could actually get on there and actually kind of look straight through, but I could actually see where it was. It was really close, but it's just jumping too much. Page 430 manual. Yeah. Anyway, that's tweaked. I mean, unless I actually get my calibrator set up and everything warmed up for a few hours and then play with it. Mind you, I probably wouldn't have to warm up for 3 hours. I mean, resolution on this isn't that good. 3 decimal places, 10 volts. Well, kind of 4, wasn't it, really, if I did the adjustment. But, yeah, it's not really super high precision compared to what else I've got around here. But, yeah, it seemed to work alright. I suppose I should actually see if the negative DC works the same way. Negative I should be equalised. Should we do that? Let's check the negative as well, just to be sure. You'll probably find the negative's gone the other way. Back on. Now I want to do negative DC. Swap that around that way. And turn it that way. Negative DC. Alright. That's not bad. It says 0.2. Yep, 0.2. So it's 10.0002, I think. Yes, effectively. It's not perfect. It's still slightly out on the negative side, so it could be a balance thing. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that much detail. It kind of works. Yeah, so it's an interesting piece of gear, but the main reason I think I got this is because it's mentioned in a service manual for something I was working on. I'm trying to remember what it was. What was that manual I was in? I think it was something like the... might have been 5200A, might have been in there, or maybe the Fluke 343A, could have been that, maybe, because it's going to do 1000 volts, don't forget, so could have been that. My camera's slightly off, isn't it? Maybe slightly. There we go, that's better. I knocked it the other day. So I think it was mentioned in that as part of the alignments for those other one of those other units, and so I picked it up thinking, oh, you know, it's the proper gear for doing that particular task. But then we actually got to realise that, yeah, it does it, but it's not as good resolution as, well, as good a resolution as modern multimeters, which can go far further than that. Interesting. But yeah, it works. I was going to 0.001 resolution there, so that means I was doing... Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, I was right. So it's 10.0002 was the resolution I was getting at. So it's 4 decimal places it's going down to on 10 volts. Not too bad considering the age of it. You see mentioned the tectonics manuals as well. Yes, quite possible. See, it may not have even been a Fluke device I was trying to work on. It could have been something else, because it's just a reference point. You know, it's a reference standard. So, considering the age of it, that was a really small adjustment. And it's only, I think, because it was dirty. I think the spot it was in, and actually it was the right spot. It just got a little bit of dirt on there, and it's just oxidation, you know, and it's just needed freshening up. Because as soon as I touched it a little bit, it just jumps around all over the place, doesn't it? So it's just, yeah, it's just dirty, I think. So considering the age, it's pretty good. I'll put it back together now. I think it's probably I've just never done anything with it because I've got it, tried it out, thought, oh yeah, it's kind of right, it works. Nothing to fix. Yeah, it's just seems fine. Yeah. Infinite input impedance, yes. So unlike a multimeter, it might be 10 gig or 10 meg, for example. So I suppose it's not loading down the circuitry it's testing, I suppose. That's the advantage. Because it's going through the Kelvin-Varley divider that's built into it, I think it's because of that. It's means it's creates a very big isolation. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I don't bloody know. I remember reading something about it ages ago, and I've got it. Memory's not as good as it used to be. I was checking this. Something was apparently in the country. Ah, finally. Ordered some stuff from AliExpress a while ago and it's still not arrived. It's taken ages. I've had lots of other things that arrive in that time. I'll put this back together. I think that's going to be basically it. I'm going to put it back underneath my desk over here and we'll sit there for another couple of years. Until I come across a situation where maybe it'd be an ideal thing to use. Right. Well, let's change views. So that's pretty uneventful, I suppose. Check the clips, make sure nothing's falling off. I wanted to sit down like it's supposed to. Because I got it wrong around. Don't make a difference. No, it goes on. I kind of like and dislike the way they have these screws that are kind of captive. Because they're kind of captive, but sometimes they fall out. Sometimes you need to take them out. Like in this case, that side screws out. Exactly the same case design as my 343A DC calibrator. I guess it's from the same era. Come on, screw in. That's not going in. Why is it not going in? There we go. Slightly off angle. But it's quite amazing, really, you know, this stuff, which is, I don't know, what's this, what year was this thing? This must be late 70s, mustn't it? Maybe, it may be early 80s. I think it's late 70s though. Stuff this era could be made that accurately and still be working. That's the other amazing thing. everything there looks still original. Just see a good date on this thing. So this one used to have a battery pack in it. But there's no dates on this thing. I have to look at the manual. But the this is Master's battery pack option, which isn't installed. Someone's taken it out at some point, which is fine because it means it's, you know, it would have potentially been leaking anyway. Maybe that's why I took it out. No, surprisingly, the caps I did test seemed okay. Initially, I had trouble getting some readings off them, but once I played around with it a little bit, it seemed to actually be alright. Did get some sensible readings off it. It looked okay. Yeah, it works. Sorry, it's just, yeah, it's almost disappointing, isn't it? When you get a piece of gear and it just works. It doesn't. It's not broken. I buy stuff in the hope it'll be broken and just been like labelled as untested, thinking, oh, maybe it's untested because it doesn't work. Yeah. See Mr. Carlson's video. Yeah, I did see that. That's a lot of old tech gear. Yeah, mate, how's it going anyway? Yeah. Original manual was 1969, really? So yeah, definitely 70s gear then. So this thing is like 40 years old. 40 years old, original capacitors, and it still works. That is absolutely stunning. I mean, the capacitors should be changed, really. They should be done. But it's a bit involved doing those caps because you've got to bloody unplug all these little connector wires and plug them back in again, and it's, yeah, easy to get that wrong. I've had this thing for a couple of years already. I think I've had it maybe 3 years, I think. And I haven't really done much with it. I mean, I played with it a little bit and figured it out slightly on how to use it, obviously. Otherwise, I would have completely fumbled through the whole thing really badly. So I've played with it a little bit in the past, but not much. I basically came to the same conclusion I came to just now. It works fine. So nothing really to do on it, really. So we just tweaked that 10 volt run because the 10 volt was off a bit, and yeah, it just works. It's amazing design, really. So, but I'll be keeping it anyway. The reason I got it, as I said before, is because it's mentioned in some other service manuals for doing calibration of other equipment. It's mentioned as one of the things which you should be using to do these particular calibrations. So that's why I bought one. I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. It's, you know, quite a unique bit of gear in that way, where it's differential. So it gives some different test results under different circumstances, I suppose. But yeah, I'll be keeping it anyway. Although it doesn't have the same resolution as a modern multimeter, it's still got its uses, I'm sure. What's my favourite power supply? Power supply or DC source? Do you mean like calibrator kind of thing, or you know, just talking about a power supply, like just a general lab power supply? Because there's loads of them out there to choose from. A lot of them are pretty much, you know, the same kind of thing, really. It really depends what your need is. Blue multimeter, yes, one of Dave's. That's what's that one? Is it 786? Is it? Yeah. BM 786. Doesn't reflect everywhere. That's the last one I bought, actually. That's the last meter. So I've got that one. I've also got the BM235, which is the first one I got from Dave. It's a bit smaller. And I've also got this one here, which is the 869S. Oh, get it in shot. That does a 50,000 count, but I'm not completely sure of the accuracy of this. I mean, it seems to be kind of right, but I'll be measuring some things which I know are accurate, and this has been measuring a bit off from those, so I don't completely trust this. I mean, yeah, I don't think, although it's got the resolution, I don't think it's got the accuracy. It's good for checking relative measurements, I suppose, but not super precise, I don't think. It's okay though. And I've also got this crappy old Digitech one, which is, this has been through some hard times. It's been used at engine bays and worked on cars, and yeah, this one's had a bit of use. This one, it's quite old, but it's not a bad little meter though. As you can see, it displays a bit. It's had glue on it. Somehow I dripped glue on it once, but yeah, it's not a bad little meter. It's had a lot of use. That's from, where did I get it from? Is that J Cars? Could have been Dick Smith's, I can't remember. Local electronics stores. But yeah, that's just the backup meter. I've also got the bench meters. I'm not going to go into those. You've probably seen most of those already, as I've been fixing them. Yeah. This one I picked up, it just arrived yesterday in my mailbag, or I unpacked it yesterday, mailbag. These are LED strips. These are LED wires. One of 3 volts. These ones are, I don't know, they're probably about half an amp, believe it or not. There's 10 of them in here, they're 30 centimeters long. And it's just like an LED strip light, it just lights up. It's I was thinking like maybe doing some bench lighting or something over here with them. I'm not quite sure what yet, just to make it a bit more interesting. They're cheap, not much. With that BM869, that wasn't a cheap meter. That was, I think it was about $400 or $500. It wasn't cheap. I don't know exactly what I paid for that now, actually. Let me look this up. Hold on, I'll find out. I'll better tell you the price. In all folders, hold on, let's try and find it. I got it from Cylotron actually. I bought it from Europe, and that was €309. So yeah, for me it's about $500 or so. Real power supplies and stuff. Yeah, so depends on what you want it to do. If you need to do like graphing or some kind of logging, then you probably want something a bit more modern and a bit more digital interface kind of thing. Things like Siglents or Rigels or some of that. I can't speak for the other brands. I've only played with Siglent ones. I don't know what Rigels are like, or the Rohde Schwarz ones, or whatever. I really have no idea, no experience. But the Siglent ones can do graphing, and you can also use software on a computer to interface with them and control them and things like that. So depends on what you want to do. If you don't need that complexity, then you don't need something like that. Also, you need to consider noise. So if you are wanting a cleaner supply, then you probably want to go for a linear power supply rather than a switch mode supply. Switch modes are cheaper and a lot smaller, but the linears conversely are bigger and heavier, but they have a cleaner output, so it's a bit of a trade-off. Sometimes the switch modes can do more power as well than linears can, so it's really depending on what you need. For me, I like a basic linear supply, which is what I've got that Chord one there for. It's a nice simple supply and it's linear, so it's quite noise free. There's no resistors on that strip, it's just an LED. It's basically an LED, but it's in a strip form, and it's basically a series Oh, they're parallel, obviously parallel wired. But it's quite interesting. You can get different lengths. I did show them a mailbag. Well, I've recorded a mailbag when I unpacked them, so you will see that in a couple of weeks' time, I think. I did some testing on them and showed them in those, but I thought, oh, they were cheap, and I thought I'll just maybe use them on the bench somehow and have some like accessory lighting or some kind of background lighting on the desk, just to try and create a bit more interest or something. Or I don't know. You can get them in different colours. These particular ones are green. But the actual listing on AliExpress said it was 3 volts and 50 milliamps. Well, when I ran them at 3 volts, I was getting 500 milliamps. So I think they might have missed the zero. If I get 50 milliamps, I run them at about 2.6 volts or something like that instead. They didn't turn on until 2.5 volts. That's when I started to turn on, so I think 3 volts is probably right. But yeah, it was yeah, it's quite interesting. I don't know what I'm doing with them yet. I'm kind of on a whim. I sort of purchase them on a whim. A lot of things to do. I'll be looking at AliExpress, thing will pop up and go, oh, those look interesting. I might get some of them and play with them. And then never really do anything with them. Happens to. That looks very nice. Thanks. I don't know how much of it you've seen. It's a fairly small room. That bit over there behind me, which you can't really see because chat window's covering it up. That's my wife's desk. She works from in here as well. And behind me just here is my calibration stack, I suppose. Right there is a Dashron 4700 multi-purpose calibrator. There is a Dashron 1082 set-off digit multimeter, which I recently acquired. That is a Fluke 5450A resistance calibrator. That's a Cylotron 7061 set-off digit multimeter. And there is a HP A6, sorry, 45. What's the hell the number on that thing? 3457A. Let's get that number. 3457A. That's a 6.5 digit multimeter as well. Oh, hey Rob, how's it going? 40 volt, 60 amp. Oh, that's one of those new ones. Yeah. Once, what I didn't like about those was the fact that on the display, I mean, it's logical when you actually realise how to set it up. It does make sense, but to me, from my OCD perspective, they have channel 1 on the right, channel 2 in the middle, channel 3 on the left. So it goes 3, 2, 1, not 1, 2, 3. And that just like threw my OCD like, through loops. I did mention it on the video when I saw them publish that notification about those things. But some of these things you get used to pretty quickly, I imagine. But it's just obviously from the back view, it's 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it'll be interesting to have a look at one of those. See what they come out like. But yeah, so I've got the Siglent 10s. What the hell is it? $1608 was it? Hold on. 1168. There we go. STS 1168X, which is a 16 volt 8 amp single channel supply, which does graphing and stuff like that as well on it. So I've got one of those sitting over there. That's on top of the core head. So if I change views again, you might be able to see it. You can just see it sit on top of the core head over there, next to the thermometer. So that's handy if you want to do higher currents, because I can do up to 8 amps. Whereas a core head is a 5 amp supply, or something like that. I think it's 5 amps. But you can parallel channels up if you need to and stuff like that. But sometimes you want to do graphing, and obviously the core head can't do that because it's an extremely simple supply. Whereas a Siglent can do a lot more. Single channel model, yeah, okay. Because they were fairly pricey, weren't they? Because of the current capabilities of them. Because they can put out so much current, they're obviously that reflects in the price. So I was interested in seeing those things, but yeah, they are quite chunky supplies, aren't they? Hey Johnny, how's it going? I wanted to try some with you, Johnny, actually. Let's do this, see what happens. Yeah, so Johnny, I did that, recorded the podcast with Dan yesterday. Hey, look at that, it still works. So, no, you're not green though, you've only got like a green bit. You're not fully green. Oh, no. I just want to see what happened when I made a supporter, a moderator as well. Should have done it with Peter actually. Peter was earlier on, I didn't see him there. Should have thought about it then. Yeah, anyway. So you got blue text with a little green logo next to you. I don't know which one you prefer. Do you prefer being green or blue? Which one do you prefer? Blue for moderator, green for supporter. Which one? I'll mod you again. Do you prefer being green? I don't know, we should work on something else too. Right, so we had a look at that. Nothing to do. I don't know. What should we work on now? Come on. Oh, my throat's getting a bit dry. I need a drink. You prefer pink? No, I can't do pink, I'm afraid. Bars close at 2 AM. Yeah, I could use a drink, but not that kind of drink. I just need something to. My mouth's getting a bit dry from all talking. So, okay, we looked at that. What else could we do? That was a bit uneventful. Yeah, I got the program back. Thanks, Rob. That arrived okay. I unpacked it yesterday and I actually used it. I pulled the EEPROM from a Defpom 1062 IEEE board and read the EEPROM from that because that one wasn't actually documented because it's a 27C32 EEPROM instead of a 2532 EEPROM, which is different pinouts. So it's a slightly newer version. Data input, no, Cylotron. Cylotron input is what I'm looking at. Times of radio repairs. Yeah, I've actually got someone someone said they're going to send me a CB to do actually. So I do actually have a radio coming to work on. So I will record a video on that. That'll be out in my other lab. What's on the breadboard? Oh, secret. You mean that breadboard there? Yeah. I just use that for general testing, so that mess of wiring on the right hand side there of that breadboard, that was my test setup for my Datron displays when I did that display module which I designed. So I made that so I could plug a display into it and power it and have all the segments come on to test all the segments work. The ESP32 which is sitting on it is nothing particularly exciting, it's just sitting there. So I was doing some testing on something a while ago. I just haven't taken it back off the board. And that little small up wiring towards the left side is a recent thing I did when I was testing some op amps. Yes, op amps I was testing. So I purchased some used op amps and some stuff off eBay. You never quite know what you're going to get, and from some other places too. And so I actually was plugging the op amps in and testing them, because these are some of these obsolete parts which are really hard to get. Although I found lots of them around, but you never quite know what you're buying. I don't know what Mike's doing. Apparently he's doing okay. I was asking Buddy. I asked Buddy the other day, not long, well, probably a month or so ago, if he'd heard from Mike, and apparently Mike's just busy, so he's fine. Apparently he's just busy. I know he had all these plans of things he wanted to do, and he hasn't done any of it because he just disappeared. So I think he's just got involved with other things. But I know when Mike would do videos, he'd upload 10 a day sometimes, because he'd just do a big batch of them. So who knows? Maybe we'll come back with a vengeance and publish 100 videos or something. Hey Ray, how's it going? I think it's been about 2 years since he made a video, yeah. Okay, thanks for dropping by, mate. Conundrum. Didn't know you were there, so first time you said anything, right? Hello and goodbye. Yeah. Rickrolled, yes, I got that. They're going to give you up. Anyway. Yeah, it's been 2 years. It's amazing how quick that time's gone though. Because I was hanging out with Mike and Buddy and what's his name? Come on, think of his name. Another guy who was doing some CB modification stuff and some repairs, and is designing boards for them. Oh, I can't think of his bloody name now. It's gone. I was hanging with those three for a little while, and I helped with some CB modification design tips for like POL sections and VCOs to help tune those for this guy. What the hell was his name? Gone. Can't think of it. Anyway. Because that was about using the MC145151D POL in a circuit, so something like that anyway. Because I did my own design, and I did a bit of video on it. I never actually went any further with it. I did a circuit board which expanded the... I did a few radios actually. Cobra 148. I think I did the Cobra 29 as well. Yes, I did do the Cobra 29. And some other stuff. I did a few radios. I designed some for different radios and just basically replaced the POL. The whole basic entire POL. You put your own POL in it and control it your own way. And yeah, I did design all that, and he was doing his own design as well. I can't remember what his bloody name is. That's going to bug me. And yeah, I did all that work, designed it, got it working, and then didn't do anything else with it, because it basically gave a radio hundreds of channels, like 300 channels kind of thing, before the VCO would quit. Or, you know, the tuning sections would be just so far out, it wouldn't really be usable on those frequencies. It's you know, yeah, it's crazy. A rotary encoder, replace the channel to a rotary encoder, and it's pushable, and you can change modes and go through menus and stuff like that. Change the channel display to a 3-digit display. Yeah, so I designed all that, and then I think I did one radio, which I have sold. I think I sold it actually. Yeah, the prototype radio, I ended up selling that, I think. Pretty sure I did. Not sure. Was that 148? I think it was, or it might have been 29. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that was a few years ago when we were looking at that stuff. So I just wish I'd remember that guy's name. Completely gone. Anyway, CB stuff over here in this country is pretty dead. There's not much of it. I mean, I've done very little radio work in a while now, so I used to do a fair bit, but it's sort of I know if like 1 or 2 people will be coming to me, you know, bring me radios every few months, sort of thing, to work on for them or their friends or whatever. And they bring new radios in, I convert them. Okay, Dave, thanks for dropping by. Channel King, that's right. Channel King. Well, that's Mark. That's the one. Mark. Yes, so he was doing his one, designing his, at the same time I was designing mine. Now, he was having problems with his POL and VCO loop circuit. And so he couldn't get this particular POL to work, I think, and then he ended up, I said, try this POL, and he tried it, and it's kind of working, and it helped him a little bit with some design stuff and do some testing. I did some videos together and live stream stuff. I did some videos about it, he did some videos about it, that kind of thing. Not a collaboration as such. And I think he ended up going with the POL I was suggesting, and then got that working. It's about tuning the VCO and how to tune the VCO filters so it wouldn't go a bit crazy and keep the noise down, that sort of stuff. I think he obviously did a lot of development work himself, aside from what we've been discussing. They'll get it nice. He did a lot of clever stuff on that. But mine was a bit simpler. I wasn't really looking going commercial with it. I was doing it for fun, pretty much. And so I did design my own version and did all that stuff and got it working, but I never really bothered. Yeah, so Mark of Channel King, that's right, Mark. Okay, thanks, Kimmy. Catch you later. Or Kimmy, I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah. But yeah, CB stuff. I did all sorts of weird things. There used to be a module we could get, which was, what the hell was that called? The DigiScan. It's called the DigiScan, and it's basically a 5 or 6 digit display, digital display, like 7-segment display, and that's connected to a CB radio and either replace the POL or interface to the POL depending on which type it was. And then you basically had a limited range of what the POL could produce, either in the unit or in the radio itself. I ended up reverse engineering one of those things, well, a couple of them actually reverse engineered, and made my own version. But I didn't do anything with those. I had a couple of working prototypes. I used a couple. I did actually do one and sold it on a radio. I did do that once, and then didn't go any further with it, because this has been when I was making my own boards. So I was actually etching the boards myself, and the tracks and stuff were quite dense, and it was a bit hard to get decent etching on them. So that's the reason I didn't actually pursue it, because it was all hand done. So, and CB being pretty dead, there wasn't much demand for them either. But it's just, I suppose you'd say, I tend to be late to the party to a lot of things, and that's one of those things, playing with those. But yeah, I completely reverse engineered them, modified them slightly, making them better, and then did my own version. But yeah, CB it kept me going for a while, a few decades, and that's basically dead now. Not much going on there, at least not in my country. I need to go and get a drink. I'll be right back. Not the best thing to drink, can of V, but it's portable and quick. What did I mess while I stepped out? You're eating doner. It's a non-vegetarian Turkish food. I like doner kebabs. One of my favourite foods, actually. Yeah, there's different versions of the Discan. There was some which interfaced to the POL, and some which replaced the POL. That's right, you did use the NC145106 POL in the Digiscan. But I've seen different versions of the Digiscan. So, ones which got the MC145106 in the POL, in the Digiscan itself, which replaced the original POL. So it just had a VCO signal coming out, basically, to control it. Well, phase detector signal. And then there's a type which actually interfaced to the POL instead. So it actually had a ribbon cable coming out. Quick sign, hot his chair. It's always you, Ian, a troublemaker. Try the blue V. No. I only like the original one. I don't like his other weird flavours in this one. When I first tried V, I didn't actually like it. And over time I gradually kind of like, yeah, okay. Got used to it, I suppose. Yeah. This is a really small can. It's only 200 millimeters. 200 millilitres. Actually, where's my circuit diagram stuff? Let's see if I can show you some stuff, which is up here. It's a folder I've got. Because I design things like Roger beat boards and things like that, and if you're into CB radio or radio stuff, you might know about beat boards. It's like a little tongue in a transmission kind of thing. Let's see. This is one of the things I designed. 5 kHz shift. So you have one for each mode. So if you need to shift the radio off by 5 kHz, you put this in, design and trim each one for AM, upper sideband, lower sideband kind of thing. So you can shift up by 5 kHz by dragging the loop crystal off frequency. A bit clunky, but it worked. What else we got in here? Lots of notes. This is one of my original designs, which looks a bit crap on paper, but this one here, crystal oscillator circuit. So you put a crystal in it, and it's a little circuit board which basically is an oscillator, so you can use that to modify circuit boards, modify radio frequencies. So there's a batch of board layouts there. So I used to etch these myself. There's another version of SID1, version 3. I was tweaking designs. This is my really early version bleep board. As you can see, it's just drawn out. This is used perf board before I even did etching. Before I etched anything, that was on perf boards. So that was a multi-tone beep, but it used to do like 9 tones or something like that. No, this 5-tone one here, sitting like that. Again, I used to hand make those. Sold a few of them. It's a different version. I had a really simple version here. Here we go. This is a single tone beat board. Basic thing. Again, all on perf board. That was that used a relay. And then we've got some of my EEPROM boards. Like this is one of these. EEPROM conversion board. Really simple, just basically binary replacement kind of thing. So you put that one in there, and this is the other one actually, EP2. The bottom one down there. So we've got, oh, try and get it right way. So that one there is EEPROM 2, which is actually an EEPROM and PO replacement board. And over here, those smaller boards, those were preamps, I think. What are those ones? Yeah, that's a preamplifier board, so those were audio amplifiers. So you put those in a microphone line and boost the microphones up, made them a bit louder. So those sorts of things I used to do for CB, and got various options. And then over here is my microphone, or my bleep board one, that one there. That's like the etched board version of that one I showed you, that single tone beep. Yeah, so these are for the TC9119 and the LC7137 versions of PRL replacements. So it's very similar boards. I'll try and get in shot. So there's one like that, and the other one is over there. Very similar thing, slightly different. So I used to make those, and didn't make so many though. And here is that one I was telling you about. Let me go. Just trying to show you the right one. Yeah. So this is my Digiscanner board. Clicks around the pages. There's my Digiscan board. There's the one I made. So that's a replacement there, and there's a front panel PCB there. So that's that. It's a prototype version. And like there's a component layout there, which you probably can't see too well. So that's all the stuff I used to do with CB stuff, It's just yeah. Oh, there's another thing I used to make was I called it the Grey Eagle. It's a tiny little desk mic. It's basically a little plastic box, and actually, in a way, it's kind of rip off somebody else's design. I started to see these things in the UK 30 years ago, and they called them a Blackbird. And it's just a nice little audio amplifier. I basically ripped off their design in a way and made my own version. So I called it a Grey Eagle because it's based on like the Eagle microphones. And I actually did a different version. I had one with a beat built into it and things like that. So it's pretty simple, basic audio amplifier circuit. Ran off a single 1.5 volt battery. That was it. Another PRL replacement board which I reverse engineered. That's not mine. Digiscan reverse engineering. This is another reverse engineering thing. Some modifications for radios. So yeah, some changes for the HR2510 beep stuff. Some of my notes are in here, not all of them, for various things. I've got some bits shoved in. Yeah, and some instruction manual stuff and things I was selling. Not like I sold many. Handful. Wasn't really a big thing. But yeah. There's that folder. Okay. Catch up the chat. Seems I'm waffling on my manual for a while. Blue V and vodka's pretty good. Really? Blue V and vodka. Maybe I should try some of the Blue V. Well, I probably won't like it. But yeah, so as I was saying, I did a bit of CB stuff. That's why that's why I built my CB radio website stuff, all that radio mod site, because I was really into CB stuff from like, I don't know, I was about 13 or so. I started playing with CBs and modifying them and figuring them out and that sort of stuff, and making them do stuff they were not supposed to do. And it's one of the things I built. Was it? I don't know why it's so popular, but it was popular. Is I actually just wired in a switch on the back panel of some radios, which allowed you to use two different kinds of wirings of microphones. So you just switched the wiring scheme. So you got a 4-pin microphone socket on the radio, and it would switch between the two different types. So it'd be, unit wiring or subnet wiring, for example. And yeah, I just basically wired in a whole bunch of wires from the microphone socket and the wiring on the radio to a switch on the back panel. How those things worked without getting a whole bunch of RF shoved through them, I'm not sure. but they worked. It's not like they were shielded cables, they were just plain wires. I did quite a few of them. I don't know why people liked them so much. I would have thought if you got a microphone, just I don't know. It was a thing. Back when I was a teenager, I didn't even know what I was doing. Got the last new 2517 Copperhead. Oh yeah. Son I've got in my other lab. I've got a Galaxy DX2950, I think it was. Is that right? DX2 was it? I can't remember exactly. Little mobile radio, but it does something like 24 to 30 megahertz or something on it. You know, AM, FS, AM, SSB, FM. Does everything on that big broad range. So I don't use it for anything apart from bench testing. So if I've got a radio I'm working on, I can do audio tests with it and just check transmit receive and make sure they sound right. Check SSB alignments and make sure there's not distortion and that sort of stuff. Because it's far easier to hear it on another radio than it is to try and use test equipment to measure it. You know, it's just easier to your ears pick it up much better, I find. But yeah, you do your tests and do your alignment stuff and then do a final check against another radio and make sure it actually sounds right. Because there's been times when I've had things like bad filters inside radios and it's actually shifted off a bit or been cutting off too much and it's made it sound really bad, but it go through the alarm process, it works okay. RCI 2950, that's what I did. Yeah, RCI 2950 DX2, I'm pretty sure it's one I've got. Was it DX? I can't remember. But yeah, that's got a expansion module in it which opens it right, so it does the full coverage. Might be down to 21 megahertz actually. I think it goes 21 to 30, something like that. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But again, I only use that for bench testing stuff, so I can go anywhere the other radio is basically going. But yes, CB in this country is pretty dead. But I've got someone has sent me, well, someone is sending me one apparently. They've just picked it up. They actually contacted me through my radio mod site. I think, was it through my videos? No, it's all on my videos, and I asked about it then. And they're just basically importing some radios and want them converted to these in channels because these in channels are different to the US channels. Although US channels are also legal over here, they're actually allowed. But they wanted them on New Zealand frequencies, so that's fine. I'll still do a conversion, nice and easy, and I'll do a video about it. I think I've done videos about them before, which is why I think they found me in the first place. Actually, it's one of the boards I've made, which isn't. I didn't see it in my folder actually, but I've got I've got it on my computer. So I've got a little module which I designed, which does the conversion. Pretty simple. Anyway, okay, so we had a bit of a play with that Fluke A93A. Haven't done much else apart from waffle. Lots of waffling. I'm sure there's something I wanted to talk about apart from all the other stuff I'm talking about. Nah, can't think of it. Oh, that's something I want to talk about. Yes, no, but behind me down here on the floor, out of sight from you, which, yeah, I'll do that. Just about see it. Right there is my Valhalla 2703. Now, I think I might have mentioned it. I was kind of using it. I had it working originally. I did some refurbishment on it, replaced a bunch of caps, that kind of thing, when I first got it. And it was kind of working. And the calibration was off. So what I did is I went through and tried to do a calibration procedure on it. Because I knew it was wrong. And I just allowed for that by offsetting and stuff like that. It's fine. And now it's completely screwed up. So I actually think there's some faults with it on the digital circuitry, and it's when I did the calibration, it put the wrong offsets and stuff inside it. So I think, because sometimes you turn dials and you go between one voltage to the next voltage in like the 10 steps. Sometimes it jump by more than it should do, and I think there's something either wrong with the switches or wrong with the digital circuitry which those switches provide, and like digital analog converter kind of thing, or potentially the bus, maybe, I'm not quite sure, but something definitely very wrong with it, and it's very, very wrong now. So my plan was originally to keep that unit, sell the Fluke 5200A, and also I've got my Datron 4700. My cat's not going to come in, hold on. Come up. That's the noise when I sleep again. She's a bit fat and arthritic, and she has a lot of trouble getting through the cafe. So we try and let her in. So I was saying, yeah, so my plan was to sell the 5200A and keep the Valhalla 2703 as my backup. I always like to have two devices for every function. Always. I always have a backup. That way if something fails, you've still got something to use, and secondly, you've got a comparison source. So if you've got two things which you know match each other, one fails, you fix it, you can recheck it against your comparison source and you know that it's still okay or it's drifted off. So that's why I like to have two of everything. But the Valhalla has died a bit of a death. It's a mess. So it was okay, kind of okay, until I did the calibration. And, well, tried to do calibration, try to reset all its voltage output, stuff like that. As per the display, you do a certain process and you set display up, and you basically trim the display to be the correct voltage that you're supposed to be getting. And yeah, it just completely screwed up. It's a mess now. So I think that could be related to a digital problem though. So because the digital decoding or something in there is not right, I think it's screwed up the calibration because of that, but I'm not 100% sure. So that will be a project in the future. But at the moment, I'm not really motivated to do it because it's potentially troublesome. It's got very little in it. It's literally 3, 4, 5 circuit boards inside the whole thing. Well, 6 include the front panel. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one when I eventually get around to it. You lost it on a fire in 2019. That's a shame. Wow. It's a lot of stuff that I get. I'll try to obtain parts for things I'm working on. So one of the things you'll see tomorrow, actually, tomorrow's mailbag, you'll see me doing a lot of testing and there's lots of parts. It's a massive bloody mailbag video. I purchased a whole bunch of parts from a company which I won't name, but they sell new, old stock, new and used parts. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, so I'm able to source a bunch of parts from them. I tested a bunch of them in the mailbag, and actually that's what that breadboard's doing there, because I used that to test some of these parts, and they were okay. Also got some parts from eBay as well, But there's some parts now I'm not sure about, which were, hold on, let me find them. So I was doing some testing on a UA714HC, which are parts in the Cylotron. These metal can op amps, those round ones. And they seemed okay. But they refurbished parts, so they were used parts. The solder's used parts, so that's fine. But what I do is, where they've been cut off, the original parts have been, the legs are only really short because they've been cut off, the circuit boards or whatever, What I do is they weld on some new legs and make it all look nice, and they make them look nice, and I think they maybe etched them or something and remark the covers, because all these used parts have got exactly the same branding and part numbers, all identical, all these used parts. I think they basically wipe off all the original markings, put new markings on, pretending to be something maybe they're not. Not 100% sure about them. Or they could just refresh what's already on them. I don't know. But they basically remake these parts. Now, as long as you know they're used parts which have been remade, that's absolutely fine. Now, the other things I did get as well was some LM212H, UA741HC, and some LF411CH. These are all metal can op amps. Now, I tested those in the same circuit because they're basically the same pinouts, right? They're basically the same device kind of layout, stuff like that. So you should be able to plug them in and out and test them. But those three devices, which I just mentioned, I couldn't get them to work. So the UA714HC were fine. They worked as an op amp. I basically set up a times 10 gain on them. So I had a 1 volt going in, getting to like 10 volts out kind of thing, thereabouts. It wasn't a true times 10 gain because my resistance values are wrong, but it gives you an idea. Verifies correct functionality. But these other three parts in the same circuit would not produce anything other than full range output. So I was running a 15 volt supply rail, and it was basically doing 14.2 volts. Obviously you got the drop off, it's not rail to rail op amps. So that's what they're doing, it's maximum voltage. That's it, regardless of what the input was. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong with why I'm using those devices in this test, or if those three particular parts don't work. Or other these three particular part sets don't work, because I've got between 2 and 5 of those devices of each one. So I'm not sure what's going on there yet. I've just marked them as something which is problematic potentially. I've got a big question mark next to them, like these might be bad parts, because they were all used parts. They could be that they were fake, I don't know, but the pinout actually does work, the actual 8-pin device. I did diode tests across all the pins, and all the pins have something on them. They are giving diode drops and stuff like that and things like that, so they do seem to be kind of legitimate devices. The pinout kind of makes sense, but I just couldn't get them to work. But it's probably my test setup. I'm probably doing something silly there. Because I'll catch up with chat because I've been reading that for a little bit. You can't be a cat person unless you have a cat. Well, that's true. Or you've had a cat, maybe. Maybe you've had a cat. Damn. $100,000 loss and got screwed by insurance. That's a shame. Yeah, it's a real shame. I mean, as I sort of say, I've got lots of parts here. Like, so when you watch tomorrow's mailbag, you'll see what I mean by lots of parts. And I did through. It took me ages to do a video for that. I spent ages on it. I think it took me about 6 hours to do that mailbag video. Just doing the editing. It was horrendous. I'll probably not. It's probably 3 or 4 hours editing, with about 2 hours recording, 2 or 3 hours recording time, something like that, and then like another hour to actually encode it. That's not me, that's the computer doing that, so it doesn't really count. But I was overlaying data sheets and all sorts of stuff, and every single part I mentioned, I put a data sheet overlay in there and did some testing on some parts and stuff like that. So it's a massive mailbag tomorrow. I don't think I've put any. Yeah, I don't think I've ever put that much work into any mailbag ever. Yeah, it's a big one, and it's only 2 packages. So some of the Patreons have already seen that. Like Johnny's probably already seen it, for example. Of members, YouTube memberships is available to you. You should have seen it, I'd imagine, through the special playlist. But yeah, it gets released tomorrow anyway. So yeah, that's a massive thing. But yeah, I try and keep parts for everything. So I actually have a bin for spares. I call it spares bin, and that's anything I work on which I think I need parts for, or parts I've had to obtain for something. I'll get more than I need always, and I have like a box or bags for particular devices. Like, I'll show you this. This is my box for Datron 4700 parts. It's full. Now, most of those I got because I could still get them. Don't need them, could still get them. And so, because of that, I've stocked up. So, I mean, I intend to keep this calibrator forever. So I'm not intending to get rid of it. I'm not going to sell it. It's going to be something I want to maintain, and no matter what fails, I want to be able to replace it and repair it. So anything I can get now, I've purchased spares for. Pretty much everything I've got spares for. Apart from some of the output stages, I think I've just basically went through the circuit diagrams, looked at parts, so right, that's an unusual part, I'll get some of them. Some of the parts I already have anyway, but yeah, so that's part of the mailbag, is all those bits that's in that box. Well, my dealings with insurance companies so far has actually been quite positive, to be honest. So, about 10 years ago, there was a big storm came through, rainwater flooding, okay? And my car was in the garage flooded. It was about, I don't know, a foot deep or so inside the car. So the car got written off. Wasn't a trouble at all. I actually had no problems in insurance, so I just came down and inspected it. Yep, sure, it's rubbish. Paid me out. Wasn't a big deal. Within like a week, I had no money in my bank account, kind of thing. Wasn't a problem at all. When I had the other storm event, which came through a few years ago, which flooded a house, which most of you probably know about, which flooded, everything. Again, insurance didn't give me in trouble then. So that was quite nice that they paid to have everything fixed. We didn't lose any vehicles because we managed to get the vehicles out, apart from the lawnmower, and which they got paid out for too. That's fine because it was in the garage. Stuff in the garages got paid out for. Stuff in the house got paid out for. So there was no issues there as far as my insurance company is going to go. I mean, maybe I've been lucky, but yeah, I've myself had no problems with insurance. Another example is my wife's car, because that car was driven through floodwater, which is silt water. It was saltwater, floodwater. That car got driven through it. What started happening? It started rusting on all the rails. And early last year, so over a year after the event, that got claimed on insurance, although it's a different insurance company, and they got paid out. So we just had to get a statement from local garage saying that it's been caused by the flooding and that sort of stuff, and that there's an issue and that sort of stuff like that. But they got paid out full, so that was okay. So a year after the event, well, a year and a half after the event, I think it was, something like that, they got paid out because the rust was developing in all the chassis rails. Yeah, I imagine the US is probably different. Yeah. Yeah, you have to try and make sure that, you know, I don't know. When I was doing insurance claim for the house, I had a photo of absolutely everything, right? So everything that got damaged, there were photos of it, proving it was damaged, both in situ, where the flooding and stuff had happened, got photos of it saying, look, there it is, and then when it had been taken out of the house and just about to be put in as rubbish, you know, in the skip, dumpster, I suppose Americans call it. So when it was all going to be chucked out, I had it there on the ground as well, photographed, being in this bad condition, right? So I had photos of everything to prove that these things were damaged. I think maybe because I had photographed everything and had proof of every single thing which we were claiming, I think that helped smooth the process along, because there's nothing near as a discrepancy. Every single thing which I claimed, I had proof of, and I think that is the key thing. Maybe because I realised that, hey, I'm not trying to be dishonest about anything, or maybe I was just lucky, I don't know. But I'm sure that in other countries it's worse. I think in the UK it was harder. I know I had some issues, not me personally, but my dad had some issues in the UK when we lived over there, with insurance companies trying to weasel out of things, trying to use any excuse they could to not pay. And because of that, I knew to make sure I got evidence of everything I wanted to claim on. If I could prove it as knackered in the flood, then they had no reason not to honour it. So, yeah, like when the car was in the garage and that got flooded that time, I had photographs of the car in the garage with the flood water around it. You know, that made much more evidence than that. So yeah. Oh, it was electrical fire. Oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose that's a bit different. You know, electrical fire is like, whose fault was it? Is it because someone's been doing some dodgy wiring and therefore they shouldn't have to pay out because it's not been done legally or something like that? I suppose that's the out for that, isn't it? Try and prove it wasn't illegal wiring or whatever. Yeah, at least my ones have been pretty simple. Yeah, but that's why you have insurance. So the idea is that you get insurance, so if something does go wrong, you've got something to cover you. But I do know that there's been plenty of instances, even in my country, I've heard of, where people have had issues. Like they had the earthquakes down in Christchurch, and I know that people still don't have a resolution. And that was over 10 years ago. Yeah, so it's I know insurance companies have been screwing people over, not paying properly or paying for shoddy repairs and stuff like that. And repairs have been done in a bodge, and they patch up over cracks. They're fixing the cause of the crack. They patch the crack and then go, it's fixed. But the problem's not been solved because it's still subsided and stuff like that. So I mean, I know stuff's been going on down there, and it's still not resolved it. It's ridiculous. It's horrendous. Yeah. An electronics repair shop in New York that loses electricity because a flood happened at a substation 20 miles away. I think it'd be hard to claim loss of power. Like, my wife told me once that she had a TV and there was some kind of power surge or brownout. It might have been a brownout, I'm not sure from the description. And it blew the TV up and she couldn't claim it. The insurance company wouldn't honour it. This is years ago, before I knew her. But yeah, it's like, well, brownout would kill a TV. Okay, so they're sending her a friendly investigator. They're biased investigator, eh? So they save themselves some money. That's ridiculous. Well, maybe. Not cover flood damage despite no flood. That's because of the fire that happened there, eh? Wasn't that the fire that happened in this building? And the obviously from the water from putting the fire out, flooded stuff. So was it really a flood or was it fire damage? Could they say it's intentional because they intentionally sprayed water onto the building? Oh, my wife just sent me an email. I better read that. Okay, so I'm complaining about a bug. Hold on, let me just answer this email. Right. Okay. Lunchtime. Well, it's getting close. It's 20 past 11. Yeah, I don't know. Well, in this country, I think insurance is, well, to my knowledge at least, insurance is completely optional. Unless you have a mortgage. I think if you have a mortgage, the bank requires you to have insurance to cover their investment, you know. So the bank can't lose out. But if something goes wrong, at least there's insurance for that. I think that's maybe the only one I know about. So, yeah, maybe. Lunchtime, 1:19 AM. Hey, it's morning. We have breakfast. Oh, okay. I know in the UK there's car insurance was requirements. You had to have insurance for a car, regardless. That is a requirement. You had to do it. Whereas in this country, it's completely optional. So if somebody crashes into you, there's a good chance I don't have insurance. Johnny said a kebab. Yes, that's true. I'm a bit jealous of that actually. I could use a kebab. It's quite nice. Now I want a kebab. Now I want a kebab. Oh dear. Yeah. Hey GB, didn't know you were there. Yeah, quite far related damage, yeah. You think so, but it's someone they intentionally sprayed water into the building, so therefore it's intentional damage, therefore it's not covered. You imagine pulling that, wouldn't you? Yeah. I mean, I always have insurance on everything. My cars are fully insured, fully covered insurance by my choice. It's not inflicted. Like I've got life insurance and things like that, income cover insurance. And a lot of it costs a bit of money. Like life insurance one has actually gone up. It's jumped up, it doubled. I think in the past couple of years. I don't think I got that much more risky. I only aged a little bit. Anyway. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was now. I mean, it's years ago since I was over there. I mean, I left the UK when I was 18, so I'd been driving around, but my dad had taken care of everything for me. You know, he'd arranged the insurance and that sort of stuff for me, so I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. And he had arranged all that, so I had all the required legal requirements. You know, I had all that stuff covered, but that's a long time ago now. Your servers kept the fans up to 100%. Interesting. You're being hacked, Johnny. It's not me. My hands are here. I do remember once. I'm not sure how much I can say about this, but Fran Blanche was doing a live stream, and someone phoned her up or something, and then what the hell was it? Something was playing up, a modem or router was playing up, or computer was being funny or something like that. Something had gone. So there's something like that. But yeah, somehow somebody found her phone number during a live stream or something like that. Don't know. So they made it reboot. Ooh, interesting. Windows updates. Could be that. I don't know what system you're running. I don't know. So reboots aren't good, yeah, especially when you're not expecting it. Like my only real current experience with servers, not cloud-based ones, is the one which I run in the motorhome when we're doing events. When that little Raspberry Pi web server which I built, which I did some videos on. That's just running the Raspberry Pi Raspbian system and with PHP and stuff like that installed on it. And yeah, that runs fairly well actually. It's not too bad. It works quite well. It handles the loading, and it's getting pinged quite a bit from the local network. It has a bit of traffic going across it, and it's handling it just fine. It does the job nice enough. I did try using like a laptop and stuff like that before, and it worked. But I'd find that if once in a while a laptop just hang up for a minute, it just stop responding, and it'll start working again. It just do it randomly. I had no real way of understanding what was causing it, and I couldn't pin it down. I tried different laptops as well, and some would work okay for a while, and then suddenly just stop responding and then come back again 20 seconds later. So I don't know if it's like a networking thing which is causing some kind of issue. Maybe it's reissuing the bloody IP addresses across the network or something like that. I've got no idea. But even though it's set to like hold the IP addresses for like a week, it's, I don't know. So I don't know. The Raspberry Pi is behaving a lot better. About 56 days now. Okay. Well, as far as backup goes, I've got double redundancy, I suppose. I've got my NAS, which has got everything on it. My computer backs up to it, my wife's computer backs up to it, for example. Right, so wife's computer single redundancy or single backup, so it's just backed up to the NAS only. So the computer dies, at least got the NAS to back up from or restore from. If the NAS dies and the computer's still fine, it's probably fine. But what I've got, because I try and offload some of the stuff from my main computer here, because I'm running an SSD on the main computer, it's 1 terabyte SSD, and because of all the videos and stuff like that, it takes up a bit of space. So I have a backup drive, well, secondary drive in the computer, which runs with that kind of stuff. So the big bulky files come to the secondary drive. I've also got a backup drive in there. So these are done like time machine backups. And And then I've got, it's a 4 gig drive, I think it is. I'm looking now. Sorry, 4 terabyte drive. So I've got a 4 terabyte backup drive. I've got a 1 terabyte drive for video storage, which is fairly full. And then I've got a second backup drive. Is it right? I'm trying to remember what I've got now, but I've got like 5 drives. Well, 4 drives plus the NAS. And I store some things in them drives, so that, but all the drives are backed up onto the NAS. So everything's on there. So this computer, all the backup drives. So the backup drives themselves aren't on the NAS, but the contents that they're backed up from is on the NAS. You know what I mean? So there's 2 places for the backups. But the NAS is 12 terabytes, I think it is. I think it's 12 terabytes the NAS. I've still got 1 spare drive bay. Mine backs up every hour. I don't use WhatsApp now. So I've never used WhatsApp. Never even installed the app. No idea. Never used it. I don't like those kinds of messaging services when I've got other methods. She'd normally send me a text, but because it was an email which someone had sent her, she just forwarded me that email. It's just easier. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, I've forgotten now. Oh. That's an email from my wife. I just come through on the phone. That took a while. Anyway. So what do I think I just had? Something I was going to say. I'm trying to think what it was. Couldn't have been that important. Probably be waffling some more. Something about the NAS. I remember something about the NAS. I don't know what it was. Oh yes, now I remember. Okay. Talk about backup frequency. So, because I'm using Time Machine, my computer backs up every hour to the backup drives that are in the machine itself. So it's got 4 drive bays in the machine. So it's backing up to the internal drive itself and every hour as well onto my NAS. So every hour I'm backing up across 2 different disks, which is why the NAS works so much and you hear it clicking a lot in the background. It's working right now, for example. So those are every hour. I've also got some of my websites. They do remote backups onto my NAS as well. So some of my sites which are on cloud servers, they have quite what's the word I'm looking for? Important information. It's not really important, I suppose, but it can be. If we're doing events, then the websites need to back up in case something goes wrong, so the entries into those events and the data from those people doesn't get lost. So I'm also doing frequent backups onto the NAS from the websites. So they're using conscripts and stuff on the sites, and they back up onto my NAS here as well from the websites. If the website gets hacked and gets completely taken down, for example, destroyed, I can just completely rebuild it because I've got everything on the NAS here. Full site backup, database, the whole lot. It's all stored locally. So I'm also slightly paranoid. I know that some other systems which are doing similar stuff to us, they aren't backing up very often at all. Maybe once every 3 months. Whereas I'm backing up twice a day. So, yeah. You can be paranoid if you like. Oh, I've been dropping some frames. Just noticed that. Dropped 2,500 frames since the stream started. I had dropped 450 at the beginning of the stream because I was playing with settings. I was trying to see what the stream will top out at. So that was a bit interesting. So I dropped another 2,000 frames since then, which isn't that much really, but I'm just interested that it's done it. I'm doing both incremental backups and full backups. I do both. So the websites are full backups. So it's like a snapshot. Whereas the computer stuff is both incremental backups and full backups. So it's an incremental backup every hour, and every day it does a full backup. Yeah, the offsite thing is the problem I've got a problem with right now. I don't have an offsite backups. If, say, this room caught fire, I would lose it all. That's the problem I have. I do actually have, over here, a plan for that. Here's another NAS. It's just sitting here, doing nothing, because the drive I have for it is too small. I need to get this working. So my plan is to actually put this in a different building and put a decent drive on it. I made a mess now. I've knocked everything over. It's a disaster. I should have moved it. Anyway. Let's put it back. Okay. How we were. Okay. So the plan with that NAS was to do as a secondary backup drive. So I was going to have two NASs running. This NAS would then back up onto the other NAS as that NAS's backup. Okay. That was the plan, but as this NAS here has grown in size, it's now too big for the drives on that NAS. Now, if I can get that sorted out, but the problem is that the cost of the drives is quite expensive. So if I did get the NAS big enough in this one, because it's only a 2-bay NAS, I need to get 2 big drives in it, and so I need to basically put in like 2 8-terabyte drives at least. Maybe more like 12 terabyte drives for longevity. So they're getting expensive. That's sort of $1,000 worth of disk drives to put into it, and that's why I haven't done it yet. Because I want to put that, because I've got a remote network. I've got an Ethernet cable runs out to another building, for example, right? So it'd be a separate building. So if something were to happen to this room, there's a chance that everything will still be covered because it'll be in a different place. Although, you know, it's barely off-site. Yeah, encrypted files, yes, you have to be careful about that. But yeah, that's the plan, but because it's so expensive to populate that NAS with big enough drives, yeah, it's a problem. So I'll just pop up my NAS and see what space I've actually got on it right now. Hold on. Let me bring that up when I can find where the hell I put it. Oh. What the hell's IP address? I think that's it. Yes, it is. We should bookmark it. I have to remember the IP address and go to it. Let's have a look. So I'm currently using 9 terabytes of 14 terabytes available of my big NAS. So in order to cover 9 terabytes, if you want redundancy on the redundancy, then you need to put in like 2 10 terabyte drives. But that's only going to be barely big enough, and as soon as my system grows a bit more, then there won't be enough. So I need to basically put in 12 terabyte drives. So if I go to somewhere like PB Tech, which is a local supplier which sells a lot of stuff like this, let me just go and look this up. I'll find the current price of those drives. I'm looking for Iron Wolf drive because they're meant for this. These drives are currently $700 each. So I'm looking at $1,500 for 2 drives. Yeah. That's if I use NAS drives. If I don't use NAS drives, it might be cheaper. Enterprise drive is $1,000 each. No, thanks. Iron Wolf Pro is $750, so it's even more expensive. Yeah, it's not much to choose from. It's basically NAS drives, and so I'll be looking at $1,500 to populate that NAS with enough drive space to do a backup off my main NAS. So that's the problem I've got, is that I can't really afford to do that. Yeah, I mean, I do want to get the second NAS set up, but yeah. So my main NAS is a 4-bay NAS, and obviously this one here is this little 2-bay. Because the reason I only bought a little 2-bay one was because, right, if I just pop some big drives in it, I can just use that as a backup. It's not so important because it's a backup of a backup, and it, you know, it'd be less workload on it and that kind of stuff, and not really looking at expandability and long-term expandability, because if I just chuck some big drives in it, but then I didn't really think about how big my data was going to get, because at the time I wasn't using 9 terabytes, I was probably only 3 or 4 terabytes, in which case it's more manageable. But because of all the videos I've been doing, it's just ballooning, you know. I wouldn't use Western Digital drives anyway. The drives I'm using are Seagate Iron Wolf drives. I have had Western Digital drives. Like I did get some. Like when I purchased the computer I'm using now, it actually had some Western Digital drives in it. Some quite big ones. That's 4 terabyte drives in there. So they were alright, so I've still been using them. One of them's still going. One has failed already, so it's sitting over there on my desk. It's you can probably see it sitting next to the power supply there, but behind my cup there's a Western Digital drive sitting there. That failed. So it was using, I think this machine had a NAS configuration built into it. Some kind of software NAS maybe. It might have had a NAS card at some point, I'm not sure, but yeah, so that one drive failed. The other one is still going. That is a backup drive right now, 4 terabyte backup drive. I've got a Western Digital Black as well, which is used for storing my YouTube footage, which is my main original source drive. Excuse me a second. This is important. I'm on call at work as well, so this is a work thing. Right, seems to be under control. Right. So what the hell was I saying? I've forgotten. So yes, I've got this Western Digital drive there, which is just for channel storage. So that's my source drive for all my footage. It's where I basically store my YouTube videos and stuff. It's just on that one drive, and then it's then backed up onto the NAS. So the NAS is a backup from that drive. So it's always in 2 places anyway. But yeah, I'm actually really tempted to move my NAS into somewhere else. But the advantage of having the NAS here is that I've got this massive UPS here, which I said before, Just want to upgrade with big batteries, which lasts hours. So being here means if there's got big power outage, the NAS is running just fine. Now, what I've played with in the past is hooking up to my UPS units with the USB cables and what have you to tell the NAS to shut down. Now, try different UPS units. The big one doesn't give it a command to shut down. The one I've got on my test gear over there will tell it a command to shut down. I've got a couple of other UPS units around, a couple of other UPS units, and they do not tell my NAS to shut down. So if I were to put that NAS somewhere else, I'd need to look at what UPS I run from as well, because it needs to be able to tell the NAS to turn off, so it doesn't just cut the power off when it's just busy writing to a disk or something, because that would be a bit disastrous. Yeah, Seawater, Ironwolf. I think you mean Seagate. Yes. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's secure. So my drive is using. I've got 3 drives in my NAS. I think I've got 3 8 terabytes. Is it? I think I've got in there. I need to go and look again now. I've forgotten what I've got in it. Yeah, there. Feel my drive's gone in now. Oh. Yeah, I've got 3 8 terabyte drives in there. So I've got 1 spare bay. I've got 1 bay which is empty. I don't like to max things out because it makes it a bit hard to actually upgrade later on, add more capacity. So right now, if I put another 8 terabytes in there, I'd gain a little bit. You wouldn't gain 8 terabytes, obviously, because it's the NAS system. I might gain, I don't know, 3. Because it'd be sharing across the drives. I'm not quite sure what it actually work out as. I wouldn't be able to calculate it. I mean, is a the way it works. So I've got 3 8 terabytes in now. I've got 14 terabytes because of the way it shares across them. So you can replace any one drive. You can lose one drive and it'll still be okay. So it's using Synology's storage pool. What's it called? Synology Hybrid RAID SHR, which is the system I'm using on that. So, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do on this one. But I don't know if I can maybe do a stripe to raise it, so you just have no redundancy within that RAID. Just purely adds the drives together. Now, if that were possible, I could use smaller drives rather than having redundancy. But I'll just maybe just get 1 big drive and not put 2 big drives in it. The drive that's in there now, I think it's only got a 2 terabyte drive in there. It might be a 4 terabyte. I'm not sure. It was used for a little while. I did use it for a little while. I'd actually planned to use it in the motorhome and actually have it in the bus there for our computer system and network there, and do backups of everything in the motorhome. But then I realised because we constantly turn the power on and off, and we have to run a UPS and manually control the UPS and all that sort of stuff, it's like, well, actually it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. So I decided against that in the end. And that's when I thought, oh, I'll make this as a redundancy for the building here, but then I haven't built it because I need a lot bigger drives. I mean, yeah, you can buy drives in cases, but then I don't know. I don't think it's much cheaper. I mean, some cases can be cheaper. Certainly, I've done that in the past. Bought an external drive because it had the drive I wanted in it. I have done that in the past because it was cheaper somehow. You buy more and get more for less money. I was reading the chat there. You got Western Digital 10 terabyte drives, main backup. Yeah. Hey John, how's it going? I haven't seen you here before, I think. Yeah, let's say my NAS drives in my NAS now, they are Seagate Iron Wolf. And I think one might be an Iron Wolf Pro actually. I've just closed it again. It's definitely Iron Wolf drives anyway, right? Seagate Iron Wolf drives, so they're meant for NAS and they've had better reliability than the Western Digital ones I've happened to have. I've never had a Seagate drive fail on me. Not yet. But I have plenty of Western Digital drives fail on me, so, you know, that's my choice. So, yeah, so that's my preference is Seagate drives. I've had good luck with them, I suppose you could say. I know people have had problems with Seagate drives. I haven't yet. And everyone's got their own preferences. I mean, my understanding is that my case is I've had Western Digital drives fail. I mean, like I said, there's one sitting on the desk right now. But I've never had a Seagate drive fail. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it depends on the particular version of the drive, where it is made, because I don't always get made in the same place. There could be different factories around the place. Maybe some factories are slightly better than others, so different series, different variants of the same drive for different, you know, better, or maybe an early drive is better than an later drive, or vice versa, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I've had good luck with Seagate, so that's what I'm sticking with, you know. But all drives will fail eventually. You know, eventually a drive will fail. It's just inevitable, wasn't it? So. Yeah, well, the drive sitting over there is a red drive. One that's failed. That's a red. I've got another red in this computer, which is the same. I think they were worked as a pair, and the other red drive is still going. So, like I said, when I got this computer, both those drives are in there, and I think it was ran as it did actually. I think the one I first booted up, it had some RAID software running or something on it. It was doing a software RAID, and I think those two drives were running as a RAID pair. I'm not quite sure if it was what version of RAID it was using. I don't know, but so one drive's failed, one hasn't. So one's still going strong. Like a year later, it's still going. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm not heavily into computing, like really. I'm just what little experience I've got with it. You know, my own personal experience and what little I've read about these things, and you know, that's why I went to the Seagate ones. My own history of Seagate drives has been good. You know, all this the basic drives from machines over the years. I've had no issues with them. I have had issues with older Western Digital drives, and so that sort of skewed me towards Seagate to start with, even just based off standard drives, not necessarily NAS drives. And then over the time, you know, I was doing some research about NAS drives, and some people were saying the Western Digital drives are better. Some people were saying the Seagate drives are better. And it's like, well, I saw more people saying issues about Western Digital drives failing than I saw about Seagate drives failing. So based on purely a numbers perspective, from what I'd seen and what I'd read, I thought, well, Seagate's looking like it's got the advantage, and based upon my own experience with the drives, Seagate was more reliable in my history. So that's why I did that. But the Iron Wolf has got a 3-year warranty on a plain Iron Wolf drive, and the Iron Wolf Pro is 5 years as well. So, I mean, I'm not an expert in this stuff. It's just what I've pieced together. I don't know. I could even be completely bloody wrong. I don't know. But that's my current opinion anyway. I know everyone likes their own kinds of drives. You know, some people prefer Reds or Western Digital because they've always had good success with them, and maybe they've had bad Seagates. I don't know. I've never ever done a drive firmware update. Never done it. Yeah, I suppose that's true, Drew, actually, with the warranties. I mean, I suppose, though, if your drive fails after 4 years and you've got a 5-year warranty on it, you get a free drive. I mean, I suppose that's a good thing because it'll save you some money. But obviously, yeah, data is important, but that's up to you to make sure you've got a decent, robust system in place to make sure that you can handle having one drive fail using the correct RAID systems or accessory backup systems, you know, so that if one drive fails, you don't lose everything. Now, I did actually have a hiccup once with this NAS, probably a couple of years ago, I think it would have been. Would have been about that. Now, what happened, the plug on this NAS, the power plug, it's a little round power plug, I don't know, 10mm round or something like that, it's pretty small. I think it's got 4 pins, but it puts 12 volts into the NAS, I think it was. I think it's a 12 volt NAS power supply. I'll try and string a sentence together. I think it's a 12 volt power supply for the NAS and memory. And I moved the NAS. I was doing something on my desk and I moved it. And the plug fell out of the back of the NAS because it's not a locking plug. And also the wire got pulled a little bit and the plug fell out the back. And that just obviously killed out like that. And it corrupted the drives. So I actually had to rebuild the entire NAS array because it wasn't recoverable. I even got hold of Synology and they looked at the logs and stuff like that and said, no, you need to replace your drives. Like, well, I don't think so. It's just had a power outage. It's just lost power. It's corrupted the data, obviously, you know. But Synology said, no, you've got a drive failure. It's like, no, I don't think you're looking close enough. Because I sent them the logs and asked for assistance because I was trying to think, well, the data's still there. I should be able to just fix the corruption, hopefully somehow, maybe work around that problem. But I ended up wiping the drive, starting again, because I was careless and I accidentally pulled the power plug out. So watch out for that. Now, if I have to move the NAS, I turn it off first. Yeah, things usually fail 1 day outside of warranty. It's like a built-in timer. Yeah, I know there's updaters. Like, I don't know about the Mac side. I don't think there's Mac update software if you have to do it on a PC, I think. I am aware of it, but I've never done it. But it's probably because I'm running a Mac. How to interface a drive with serial interface. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I've just been lucky it was time. Never had any problems. And the client has the exact same problem, so at least you know how to fix it. That's good. Having done it yourself first. Anyway. So this is a rather different live stream to normal, wasn't it? And we worked on one little bit of gear, didn't really do much, and sat here talking for hours. Bit of a different format, isn't it? And I was thinking last night, I need to cut my hair. I didn't get around to it. Might do it today. Shingled issue with the Western Digital drives, yeah. Yes, that did get quite controversial, changing the formatting of the drives. Did hear about that. Oh, John started streaming, has he? Okay. Okay, thanks, Johnny. Catch you later. Anyway, I'm thinking about wrapping this up anyway, actually. I have to say, I'm thinking about wrapping this up. So, I've been streaming for 4 hours. I'm getting a bit hungry. And I don't have my wife here to bring me food. Disappointing. Yeah, I think I'll wrap this up. So, thanks everyone for dropping by. Good having a chat. And good having those links from earlier on, from those other sources of manuals and information. It's always good to find more sources. You never quite know where you might find this obscure thing tucked away somewhere. I joined you missed the streams because I'm catching up on sleep after work. Yeah, another feeling. Thanks a lot, John. That's appreciated. So I'll catch you all next time. I don't know when the next time will be. It won't be next week. I know next week I'm definitely working at an event, so I won't be able to stream because I won't be here. I'm not sure when the next one will be. I will have to see. Maybe 2 weeks' time. We'll see how we go. I'll see if I can get something together and actually do some repairs or something. I'll try and find something to work on and try and tinker with something. A bit more than just that bit of a fiddler with a adjustment pot. So thanks for dropping by. Give us a like. And if you're not subscribed, click subscribe. I have to say that. Well, I should say at the start, not at the beginning. That's not right. I should always say at the beginning, not the end. That's what I should do. Always say at the end. Always. Alright, so I'll catch you later. Thanks for dropping by. And I'll see you whenever I stream next. Whenever that will be.